Hear this, right now.
Welcome.
Primetime with Isaac and Suk.
What is going on up here?
I never know, man.
Unbiased,
Shut your mouth.
uncompromised sports talk without the
I
sugarcoating.
hope you're happy. You wasted everyone's life for 30 seconds.
Isaac Rupp and Jason Sukanik.
Now shut up and let me do my job.
The best in sports coverage.
This is gonna be great.
This is Primetime with Isaac and Suk on 1080 The Fan.
Hey, what it do? What's up?
You sound great.
What's going on? How's everybody doing?
Shocking development. You come back from the holidays and you're dying again.
I'm not dying. I'm doing great. I don't know what you're talking about.
Did you catch that Buckley cat AIDS
Whoa.
before we left?
I catch butts. What?
But Buckley had cat AIDS right before we left, and now it's fallen upon you.
Yeah, I seem to be past it. Isaac in the midst of it. Maybe Dan Lanning in the midst of it.
Have you heard Lanning's latest?
No,
His voice is awful.
Do you have it?
I do not have it yet. It will be in momentarily.
he's well, being sick is a choice, but apparently having no
oh,
voice.
he's sick.
Well, apparently not. He has said on this program multiple times, being sick is a choice. You can't be sick at the Rose Bowl. Doesn't work.
Well, I love Dan Lanning.
Yes.
I really do.
Yeah.
But the whole being sick is a choice thing, and I love his attitude about it.
Yeah.
I get what he's trying to do there. He is patently wrong, and he sounds awful.
Yeah.
So Buck's gonna play. I don't know why he doesn't have it. Probably because we're an Odyssey station. But
That's true.
An Odyssey
we
station.
picked up right where
I
we
just
left
got
off.
in here. I haven't transferred it over
Well,
yet.
it's this
I
is,
noticed there's not one person working today except for sales queen Linda.
Yeah,
She's the only one in here.
it's a slow burn right now. We're in that weird. I even had to ask the boss. I was like, "Hey, we're back today, right?" He's like, "Oh, absolutely." We're in that weird non-productive. I have a working theory that no company gets anything done from like I'm gonna go like the 21st to like January 2nd.
No, that's true. But
Nothing.
it's worse when Christmas and New Year's are on a Wednesday.
Yes,
That makes it worse.
yes.
Because nobody worked last week.
No.
Well, I mean, for those of you that did, I'm sorry, but most people didn't.
Well, that's what I said. Like if you're in like a package delivery sort of thing, you're in a service industry. But I can assure you, like, I asked my gal today. My gal works in plywood. She's in the big wood industry.
As many do.
Yeah, and I was like, "Are you?"
I love plywood.
Yeah, who doesn't? And shout out to all you wood bros and broettes out there. I was like, "Don't you have to work?" She goes, "I'm working from home." I was like, it's like everyone's like there's other people, and
I desperately want the job
yeah.
where we can say,
Eh,
are you working?
yeah.
Like I'm golfing, but
Yeah.
are you working?
Yeah.
I mean,
Like we went up to
Kind of.
we went up to Canada for the
but we
holidays.
don't have that job.
No.
Our job is you either perform or you dance, monkey, dance.
Yeah, yes.
Or you don't.
Yeah, there were several times
I want that
when we were up in Vancouver that you would just look up and she would be at she'd be at a table and the laptop would be out for like 20, 25 minutes, and she'd fire off some numbers and I don't know,
That's right. Send some emails.
Yeah, send some emails. Wait, I can't like from Vancouver just be like, hold on, I got to do a segment or two. And then you just show up I'm like, hey, Ducks by 17. And then I go back to being drunk. That doesn't work.
We're committed.
Yeah.
We're committed. So that's our job.
What's that old the chicken is involved in breakfast. The pig is committed. That's us.
Right.
We're committed.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
You haven't figured that out yet?
Not really.
Well, the chicken lays an egg. It's involved in breakfast.
Yeah.
The pig has to get slaughtered for breakfast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking egg, not chicken.
Yeah. One is
Because
involved.
the egg is dead.
Yes.
Because I eat the egg too.
The chicken doesn't die.
Chicken does not die.
So it's
No.
committed.
Unless it gets bird flu.
Yeah, that's the whole.
You know?
Yeah. Although I was told today not to worry about it.
Worry about what?
Well, the zoo flus.
Yeah, it's going around.
I was told by a medical expert today, the zoo flu,
Yeah.
it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, so nobody worked last week, really.
No.
And now
no
this
one's
week,
working this week.
Well, I wonder what people are doing this week. I thought maybe we'd all be back today here at Odyssey Portland because, commerce must commence.
An Odyssey station.
Wrong.
No one's here.
No.
And I mean no one.
No.
Except for Linda.
Linda. I rolled in and it's true. I saw Linda there and I
And
even
she's great.
I gave Linda an attaboy.
So you know
Although
who
to
my...
be fair, Linda can walk to work.
Yeah. She just walks over here.
So like that's again, she strolled in.
She's
I'm guessing
working.
Fire off an email or two and then go about her day.
Now, if you... Like, if we were taking bets on who will be the top salesperson
Yeah.
in 2025,
Yeah.
You know who my money's on?
Linda,
Linda.
dedication.
I see her more.
Yeah, she's the pig as opposed to the Kurt Ludwigs that are chickens of this world.
It's a betting angle.
I like it. I like where you're going with it. Yeah.
So have you heard? Okay, so we have Lanning now here.
Yes.
Here on the fan.
This is
Sports Radio.
non-sick Dan Lanning
So
because
this
he
is Lanning.
chooses to not be sick.
Okay, here's when was this?
I believe this was his Rose Bowl media press conference.
So it was like I think was yesterday the
Well, wait
media
a minute.
day?
Didn't you talk to him on Thursday?
the previous Thursday. I talked to him on the
Okay.
like before Christmas.
He wasn't on the day after Christmas with us.
No.
I wasn't here.
I don't think
You
he-
weren't here.
I was not
No,
here.
we weren't even on the air.
No.
it was
Why not?
national programming.
I think we were playing like
We
the
had, we had,
Pop-Tart-
you
like
know, because
Pop-Tart
the
Bowl.
Odyssey
the Pop-Tart
station takes
Bowl.
care of us. We had
bowl games.
3 straight days of no
Yeah.
fan
Yeah.
programming.
There were
Okay.
big bowl games, which, by the way,
So it was,
I
it was
watched-
the previous.
That Pop-Tart Bowl was great.
I am starting
An Odyssey
a
station.
national
Mario.
movement. Look, we got like the Peach Bowl, the Rose Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl, horse crap. The bowl that should be in the college football playoff is the Pop-Tart Bowl. I'm sorry. The sacrifice of the Pop-Tart mascot and you choosing it and then eating it, and then they did the sprinkles on the sidelines. Dude, that's the best damn thing we got going in bowl season, except for my Cougs in the Whites laying an ass whooping to Colorado. Hey, bowl season's been great. Had
yeah.
to throw that in there.
Yeah, again, I'm slow today. I was thinking about the egg, not the chicken.
Yeah.
And then you said Cougs, and I was thinking about Washington State. I'm like, they
No,
got
no.
smoked.
No. My Cougs.
Yeah.
My Cougs.
I love that.
And you know what? They had the all whites.
Yeah,
They
sure
came
did.
out all whites.
I was loving that.
Yeah. They laid a
Anyway,
beat down on them.
Anyway, the Pop-Tarts Bowl was great.
Yeah.
Jordan Palmer, I think, was on the call, and he said he ate 25
It's
Pop-Tarts
a lot of
during
Pop-Tarts.
the show.
Oh, my God.
I mean, I don't know that he did, but he said he did.
I don't think I've ever had more than 2 Pop-Tarts. I think if I did, it's like, I think something
Pop-Tarts are
shuts,
gross.
I think something shuts down. Hey.
But
I'm
I
not
love
gonna-
the push.
I'm not going to say a Pop-Tart's gross.
It's gross.
It's just,
There's nothing to it. It's gross.
It needs
But-
to be in perspective.
I will say that we haven't talked to Dan Lanning for many, many, many weeks.
Yeah, it's been a bit.
But, well, I guess it was several weeks ago that they played Penn State. So we haven't talked to him for a while. So here's what
Yeah.
he sounded like at the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, I think we have a clear focus of what we're trying to accomplish, and like I've said before, that everybody has an assignment, everybody has a job. They got to do their job.
Oh my God!
It's like me about a week before Christmas.
Yeah,
That is, that's
did
rough.
sound like
that's
it.
rough. I wish someone could have been down there to been and brought up the being sick as a choice thing, and he probably wouldn't have had a sense of humor about it in that moment, but someone should have asked that question. And I feel like next time he comes on the program, I will be. We just need to save that clip because I think this needs to be addressed. I'd like to ask him, and
He chose to sound that way?
yeah, I was like, I just was so. Can you explain to me the rationale behind choosing to sound like this at your press conference?
Well, you know what Duck fans choosing to say here.
What's that?
Well, that they have been grinding so hard for the Rose Bowl that he has worn out his voice. Like he is on another level.
Can I say?
Of
And people
Dan
said the
Lanning.
same thing about Tosh today, too, because
Yes.
Tosh
Yeah.
LaPoy's voice is also
So it
gone.
sounds like all the coaches are sick.
I love.
If you believe in that sort of thing.
I love stupid fan narratives, and I can't tell you the number of articles that came across my timeline that had this headline: Ducks go in with different mentality. Business trip. Really? Wow. The Rose Bowl. A berth in the college football playoff. Yeah, just business. Everyone else, by the way, in the country, I don't know if you know, thumb up the butt. Everyone's just like, I'm just happy to be here.
Just a casual weekend trip with the boys. the other
Ohio
ones,
State
yeah.
just was like, you know what? We're gonna take a pleasure cruise out there. We're gonna go to Universal Studios. We're gonna see the shark, not the ducks.
Well, you know that Lanning's going to use the "we are underdogs,
Oh.
nobody thinks we can do it" narrative.
Hand to God, who was it? Was it Muhammad? Oh no, it was Tez Johnson. Tez Johnson at Media Day, because I was listening to all the different Media Day clips. Tez Johnson literally dropped. No one has believed in us from day one.
There it is.
He did that.
You knew it was coming.
No one believed in us then. No one believes in us. You're the number 1 team in the country. You've been number 1 for the majority of the year. You were like the number 3 team in the preseason poll. But hey, no one believed in
That's
us.
sports, man.
It's a business trip. It's business mentality. We got no voices because we're grinding so hard, and no one.
How many college basketball teams are there? Like
100
300.
and-
No,
yeah,
there's like 300.
There is so many.
I bet you every single one of them at some point during the season, if somebody could go through all of the interviews throughout all 30 games or whatever, every one of them,
Yeah.
300 and some teams, doesn't matter who they are, Duke, Kansas, Northrop, Buckner, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They all say that. At some point,
No one.
somebody will say that on every one of them. It's just sports. It's how they motivate. Look, it's a nice motivating factor.
I'm waiting for the Kansas City Chiefs sitting there with their
Nobody believes
their
in them.
15-1 record.
There are people that don't believe in them.
15-1.
But
Like,
there are people that are like, including myself, who's like, I don't know if they're going to win it.
They've won 2 years in a row. They're 15-1. We're like, no one believes in us.
I don't know. Well,
We're a
Lanning,
plucky underdog.
it sounds to me like Lanning actually chose to be sick.
It's possible.
Perhaps he had the choice and said, you know what, I am going to be sick.
Yeah. Well, maybe use it as extra motivation. Or maybe he just
But-
likes Ricola.
Well, wasn't the thing, we didn't talk about it much here, but wasn't the deal that it was at the Big Ten title game where the defense apparently all had
That was
the flu?
that was the report, and we asked him about that when we talked to him right before the holiday, and he basically said, "Yeah, we don't make excuses," and he rolled right past it. So
Yeah,
he
exactly.
would of course would not confirm or
But
deny
we-
that they had any flu, but it seemed like it was coming out from players that was going around on the defensive side of the ball.
And now it's the coaches.
Well, it was not a great performance against Penn State
Right.
on the
So let's
defensive
chalk
side
it
of
up
the
to
ball.
that.
But only the defense had it. No one on offense had it.
But, you know, the whole headline thing, like, when you have 3 weeks, well, it's actually been 24 days since Oregon played.
Yeah.
And these guys got to write stories about things when they're covering a team that gives you nothing.
Nothing.
I mean, they give you nothing.
It's because it's a business trip, Rob. That's why they give you nothing.
I mean,
just
these-
grinding their face off.
You might as well have, you know what you can do to save a bunch of money? Because you know these corporations, they want to save a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Here's what you do. You file away all these generic business trip. Nobody believed it. File them all away in a big file, and you have one reporter write a story for every single team.
Yeah.
You can cut all the dead weight, cut all the, trim the fat, fire everybody, save all that money, and then you put out the same damn article about every single team 2 weeks ahead of the game. It's the same thing.
It's because no one believes.
No one believes.
believes in us.
Boy, they're really focused, and
Just a kid from Akron, not even supposed to be here.
they're really. I don't know.
Well, and then the
It's just
Ohio
so
State
generic.
narrative is that like they took the Michigan loss so personally and so deeply that now they're destined to win the whole damn thing.
Well, they look pretty good.
They did look really
They
good,
did.
but that's not because they were so awful against Michigan.
Yes, but what are they going to write, Buck? That's the. What are they going to write
That
if they
was-
can't write that?
That was really the only. I mean, the first round of the playoffs, we missed so much, and I love that. Like the world of college football, because of a couple bad games, now it's an indictment on the entire system. No one other than the SEC or the Big Ten should ever get into the college football playoff. But really, the only game in that whole thing that was a surprise to me was Ohio State, Tennessee. Now, I didn't think Ohio State was going to lose that game, but I certainly didn't think that they would dog walk Tennessee the way they did, especially after the Michigan thing. I mean,
They look great.
how great was it too that did you see that was they're estimating between 30 and 35,000 Tennessee fans showed up at the shoe.
Oh, yeah.
They said it was the largest visiting crew, including Michigan, to ever go to an
it
Ohio
was
State.
visually really impressive.
I mean, and we talked about this before that Tennessee was going on this like covert Reddit mission to get as many Tennessee fans into the game, and people were coming up with AI generated images of them in Buckeye gear so they could buy tickets from Ohio State fans. And I love that 30,000 plus Tennessee fans came up to Ohio State thinking that they were playing this weak ass team that just that lost to Michigan, and then Ohio State absolutely smacked
Can
them.
we wipe that one from the generic fan sort of narrative palette?
Which-
What do you call it? Is it the palette where
Yeah,
the
the
artist
paint.
holds?
Yeah,
the
that's the
palette.
palette.
Yeah, like we're gonna show up. We're gonna show up. We're gonna bring so many fans to Columbus.
They won't know what-
They won't even. It's gonna be like our home field, and
Yeah.
then we're gonna win because of that. Yeah, you got bludgeoned. It didn't
They
matter.
said they were going to turn it into Volumbus.
Yeah, well, they did, and it didn't matter. Okay, that game could have been in,
Volumbus, Ohio
Knoxville.
doesn't
It
stand
wouldn't
a
have mattered.
chance.
and Ohio State would have kicked the crap out of them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's another one. Strike it from the narrative. Come up with something more original.
Well,
That fans think they matter so much more than they do.
Yes.
They just don't.
We're also going to get this one. I guarantee it. And by the way, it's a lie. Really hard to beat a team twice.
That's right. Do the numbers show that? That's another one.
No,
Do
they
the
don't.
numbers show that?
No.
I don't think they do.
They don't.
I think that the better team usually wins twice.
Yes, it's
Now, in this instance, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but
no.
that's typically what happens.
Yes, there is not there is no real evidence one way or another. I mean, in fact, someone had it today. Someone had tweeted out that Boise, just this year alone, Boise State beat UNLV twice, Georgia beat Texas twice, Washington beat Oregon twice last year.
Yeah.
Utah beat USC twice to go to
The year
win
before that.
The year before that,
And Utah beat Oregon twice the year before that against Cristobal.
So like this,
It seems to be easy to beat a team twice.
it's just there is no, and like I said, it's not slanted one way or another. There is no thing about that you beat a team twice and somehow that's some sort of a great achievement, because at the end of the day, look, you're probably, when healthy, and that's my big question about Ohio State, you're probably talking about the two best teams in the country right here. They played once before this year at Autzen, and you couldn't have had a closer game. It literally came down to a pass interference call on one of the final plays of the game, and then Will Howard needing one more second to get a timeout off for a chance to kick a field goal. Nothing. This is going to be a great game. It has nothing to do with business trip mentality. It has nothing to do with Dan Lanning being sick. You just have two really good damn teams.
Well,
and one or two plays from either side is going to tilt it in that direction.
that's great, but no one wants to hear that bullshit. Why else are we even on here if we're going to say that? I'm going to come back with a super hot take about the game.
I want it. Give it to me.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just kidding. I'm just saying this is why all the pregame talk is so obnoxious and absurd, and it's really not worth listening to. Yet we want you to listen to us.
Yes. For stuff like this, deal is in. I've been on many a business trip, but those trips can go off the rails. That is true.
Right.
I think we've all been on a business trip that has taken a hard
I don't care
left.
how Oregon is treating this game. I don't think it's going to matter when they lace them up.
No.
Okay.
These are two really, really good teams. I'm just juiced. I wish this
Lace
game
them
was
up, you little bitch. Let's
further
go.
down the road in the playoff, because I do feel
Well,
like
let's okay.
yeah,
Hold
we'll-
on.
we'll get to it.
You're too fired up.
I've been
Calm
off.
down.
I need my sports.
Calm down. Let's take a break.
Can we
Are
talk
we on TV today? Are we on the C-Dub?
I think so,
Nice.
but I don't think I see that schedule, so I don't know. Probably.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, wherever you are catching our show today, we're back. We've been on vacation. We're back. And it's a very important week because the Rose Bowl is here. It is Wednesday. We'll have shows today and tomorrow. We will not be here Wednesday, and then we'll come back Thursday and Friday and talk about it with you. So we do have a lot to talk about, but hopefully it's not going to be that same boring, cliche, mundane pregame bullshit you're hearing everywhere else.
No, I'll actually try to
Okay.
talk about some of the adjustments that I think both squads are going to make, because I do think that there are adjustments to be made on both sides of the ball for each team. From having seen each other earlier this year.
You're just going to need to put a pin in it, okay?
Okay.
And unless you want to do a during the break segment on YouTube or something.
Seems like a lot.
You don't want to do
I'm
that.
just going to talk about the whites.
Smart.
We'll talk about my Cougs.
Yeah, I've watched every lick of bowl season because I've been sick, so I've seen every
Hey,
bit
sit
of it.
around
Been
watching
gambling on them too.
It's been fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it has been, dude. It's a blast. I
Yes.
don't care what anyone says
I
about
love
bowl season. There's some really bad quarterback play. There's some awful coaching,
It's fun.
but it's just all one big soup of greatness.
Yes.
I was watching in a triple box down at my dad's house on, like, I don't know, Saturday night or something like that. And my stepmom goes, "Man, this is just, I mean, it's almost nauseating. There's so much going on." My dad's like, "It is a little bit much." And I go, "It's
No,
perfect.
It's, not.
It's perfect."
It's
Wonderful.
perfect. All right, we'll be right back. Thanks for being with us here on a Monday with Rop and Sook on the Fan.
and 6 straight games without a turnover.
The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Weekdays 9 to noon. 1080 The Fan. Dirt and Spray. Now, weekday morning, 6 to 9.
You can try this at home.
So, like, do you guys want to give back? Rop and Sook. Sook and Rop. Buckley is here. We're ready for the Rose Bowl.
Buckley wearing his Will Clark throwback shirt, which
Yeah, a little Christmas gift for my dad.
that warmed my heart there.
So he's cleaning out the garage, was he?
Will the Thrill. I used to love those big cartoon. You know, if you can't see it unless you watch it like on YouTube or on TV, but the old the cartoon like what you would like go to a boardwalk and someone would draw you with the big
Like
head.
the caricature cartoons of the athletes.
I
yeah.
used to love those.
Those are cool.
I used to love those as a kid, and then the posters where it would be like Eric Davis and it'd be like 44 Magnum.
Oh, when they had like the cool nicknames and
Yeah,
the cool like
they were like
shoots for them. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they would have the Land of Boz, and it would be like a Wizard of Oz sort of theme. I used to love those posters growing up.
No, I found this this company or this site that basically licenses old artwork from a bunch of different sports franchises, and they reprint the shirts. And so this one was the one that I got under the tree.
Wait, so how did you tell your dad about that site?
I've sent him the link before.
Yeah, it's like, hey, what do you want for
Here's what
Christmas?
Because otherwise he's going to be like, I found this, standalone car battery jumper from Costco, and I figured you could use one.
Yeah. And you're like, can't
I mean,
really.
I probably could,
Yeah, if
but
someone asks you for like a list, you're better off sending something that you want. Otherwise, you will get the trickle start.
well, I think
charge.
you're already gone, but you'll get the gift card. Rob had a big take about the gift card.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a big gift card
Nor
guy.
am I.
I think that's it's a cop out.
It's kind of insulting, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And yet I got another one
Yeah.
from my wife.
No effort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
That's the take.
that's kind of what that means.
Here,
All right.
might as well.
Ready for our poll question?
Let's poll. Let's go.
Let's poll. It is on X at 1080 the fan. At 1080 the fan. The 1080 the fan daily poll question. Rose Bowl is almost here. How we feeling? Going to take a pulse of the community today.
Okay.
4 options for you: pure doom, some trepidation, mostly hopeful, or positively positive.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
would go
Kind of for Duck fans there.
Yeah, for me, I would say mostly hopeful.
Yeah.
I think this is a coin flip game. And
That's hopeful.
well, I mean, if you told me that it's a 50-50 game, why wouldn't I be hopeful? And I say it's a 50-50 game, but to me, I have the better quarterback, and I think it's not even close. So to me, in a 50-50 game that we've already seen play out as the definition of a 50-50 game, now this one, neutral field, obviously a little further for Ohio State, but they're going to show up. It's not Autzen Stadium. Obviously, if you're Ohio State, you feel pretty good about that, that this is a more of a neutral field. I think if you're Oregon, you feel good about that the Ohio State line is not nearly as good as the one that you saw, though one of those injuries did come while playing you. But to me, the biggest one where I would say mostly was that the option mostly hopeful?
Yeah.
Yeah, mostly hopeful
Or
is
some trepidation.
some trepidation.
I feel
No,
like those two right there
Yeah.
are just basically glass half full, glass half
Yeah.
empty.
because
They're
I can
kind
sit
of the
he-
same thing.
and I can make a half a dozen arguments for Ohio State, and I think the national media, to be honest with you, and all the breakdowns are mostly being optimistic about Ohio State. I think the spread is it's somewhere between 1 and 2.5, depending on where you look. Ohio State's the favorite. Coin flip game. But to me, the biggest difference, if I've got two teams and I can make strong cases for both, and we've already seen them play, is the last time I checked, the most important position in all of sports is quarterback. And despite Will Howard looking good against Tennessee, and Will Howard played a nice game against Oregon in the first one, didn't go well at the end there with whatever the hell he was doing on that slide. Dylan Gabriel is head and shoulders better than Will Howard. So you give me a very even matchup, two very talented teams, arguably the two best teams in the country, and I get one big advantage, and you can make the case that the biggest advantage at any position group, O-line, D-line, receivers, I mean, there's talent across the board here. Maybe the biggest difference in talent gap between the two teams is at quarterback. And Will Howard at times this year has just been the definition of ugh. And Dylan Gabriel really hasn't had a bad game. He's had some early in the year. He had a couple turnovers there that were a little ugly. He seemed to clean those up. The Wisconsin game, everything got bogged down, but I don't put that on Dylan Gabriel. That has to mean something. That the biggest advantage is at the most important position. Therefore, if I'm an Oregon fan and you asked me about it, I would say mostly hopeful.
Yeah, that's where most people are going so far. 39% say mostly hopeful, 26% some trepidation, 18% positively positive, and 17% pure doom.
See, I don't know why anyone, if you're an Oregon fan, I don't know why you would feel.
Well, there would be one reason, and it's a reason that we often caution to be aware of, and don't. Just catch yourself when you do this, because it's not the right way to look at things, and that is recency bias. If you look at the last two times the last time each of these teams played,
sure,
Oregon's defense against Penn State could give you some worry, and then you look at what Ohio State's offense did against a defense is just as good as yours, if not better, in Tennessee. No, Tennessee's defense is better than Oregon's.
Yes, and
they torch them. That could give you a lot of, like I said, trepidation.
That's a valid point.
But we often caution, and this is true I think this is just across sports, don't get too high and too low about what you saw last, because remember that right before Ohio State punished Tennessee, they were dead because they only scored 10 points and lost at home to Michigan.
Looked beyond inept, and
so
we were firing Ryan Day and the.
But I do think if you're an Oregon fan and you're really worried about this game, it would be just because of the way Oregon looked a little shaky against Penn State defensively, and how good Ohio State looked against Tennessee. But I'm with you. I don't think any of that matters. These are probably the two best teams in the country, if not two of the top 3 or 4. They're going to lace them up again on a neutral field, and it's going to be freaking fantastic. There is no way to predict what it's going to come down to, because it's just that close. And so let's just grab our popcorn and enjoy it.
And we get to have it at the Rose Bowl.
Yes.
I mean, I remember us going to the Rose Bowl when Ohio State played Oregon for the kind of the first of this modern Duck run.
That was the Terrell Pryor game.
It was the Terrell Pryor game. And God, what an awesome setting there.
Because Ohio State will travel.
Yes.
That's going to be 50-50.
And it's a great fan base, and Oregon's going to show up in droves, and we're getting the classic matchup. I don't love the chrome helmets, but Oregon's going with more of a traditional look. Ohio State's got the rose stripe down the helmet. Ohio State, Oregon, let's go. It at the Rose Bowl, again, I know it's two Big Ten teams, but it feels like the old school Pac-12, Pac-10 versus the Big Ten. I just wish, honestly, this was for the national championship. That's the only. If I'm nitpicking this, that's the only thing. I wish this was further down the road in the college football playoff.
Well, when we come back, let's get more into the Rose Bowl. We can also commence our complaints about the college football playoff if we like. I mean, it's over and done by now.
Well, and my only complaint was I was really disappointed with a lot of the talking heads, the major players in college football, and I thought they did a real disservice to the sport, to the playoff, and honestly, to some really good teams. I really thought Kirk Herbstreit and some of those guys who I have a lot of respect for, that aren't necessarily hot take guys. I was really disappointed with the narrative after the first round.
Yeah, I don't know. Now I'm already disappointed with the talking heads talking about the talking heads. It's just like, let it all. It's not perfect.
Nope.
Never will be. We know the flaws. No. It's the first year of going to 12. They're gonna make it better. It does kind of suck that Oregon has to play Ohio State in the quarterfinals. No. But if you're gonna have to beat an elite team like this in this tournament, wouldn't you want the rest/prep advantage,
Yeah.
which you do have.
Yep.
So, and you're on your coast. I don't know. We could bitch all day. It doesn't do any good.
Yeah.
So we can get the complaints out, and then we can talk about the granddaddy of them all, because it is going to be an amazing,
It'd be gorgeous.
and I mean just an amazing, should be an amazing game and an amazing day
yeah.
on Wednesday.
Because it's not just this.
No.
I mean, this
So-
is the highlight of it. But
We'll take a break and we'll come back and talk more about it with you here on The Fan. Here's Buck.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Ryan Buckley with this Sports Center update. First on The Fan, Week 17 in the NFL, wrapping up with Monday Night Football in the Bay Area as the Lions visit the 49ers. That one kicking off at 5:15 on ABC and ESPN, with the Lions favored by 3.5. Only one college bowl game today was in Nashville, the Trans-Perfect Music City Bowl between Iowa and Mizzou. The Hawkeyes took a 10-point second-half lead before Missouri came back to win 27-24. The Blazers are looking for their third straight win of the homestand when they welcome the Philadelphia 76ers to Moda Center tonight. Matisse Thybulle is out for Portland. Delano Banton, Tumani Kamara, Jeremy Grant, and Robert Williams are all listed as questionable for the Blazers. Joel Embiid, Kyle Lowry, Eric Gordon, and Andre Drummond are all game-time decisions for Philly. That one tipping at 7 o'clock. The Sixers favored by 6.5. And in college hoops, the Oregon men remain ranked 9th in the country with a 12-1 record. They don't play again until Friday. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Ryan Buckley at the 1080 The Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The home of Primetime with Isaac and
well, the Rose Bowl, pretty good one.
Yeah, I would say so.
Oregon and Ohio State, right here on the Fan.
It's gonna be a great day because
Wednesday.
we start out with the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, right? I think that's the first one.
Is that Texas, Arizona State?
Texas, Arizona State, and I
Okay.
think that's at like 10.
Good little primer.
It's like 10, 11 in
Yeah,
the
because
morning.
the Fiesta Bowl is Penn State.
Fiesta Bowl's the day before.
Yeah, that's tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's tomorrow night.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Fiesta Bowl is tomorrow night.
Yeah, we got Penn State, Boise State,
and then on New Year's Day
that's
you got
New Year's Day. So we start with the Peach Bowl.
yeah.
And then we got the midday 2:00 kick for the granddaddy of them all.
Yeah.
And then for a nice little dessert, some pumpkin pie. And outside of the Rose Bowl, this is the one I'm most looking forward
Yeah.
to. I get Notre Dame, Georgia
Yeah.
in the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah.
Come on.
Come on.
Come on,
Come
son.
on.
Playoffs are great. I know the first round was a little, well,
Well, they were all blowouts.
Meh. But this round, I'm pretty stoked for. And the only one that I'm a little hesitant about, and by the way, watch them completely show up and give me the Scrooge. I think Boise State may be in over their head, but we'll see.
Well, we can talk more about that tomorrow.
Yeah.
As that's the first one up. Like we said, that's tomorrow night.
Yeah.
You're right. The first round of the playoff games were all blowouts. They kind of sucked. Even though it was fun. I mean, I watched every bit of it, but
Yeah.
it's just like,
Yeah.
you can't
Texas-
always get great games.
Texas Clemson gave you
A little bit.
something, maybe.
But it's just kind of, it's annoying. This is where I say we're going to complain about this for 10 seconds and then we
Yeah,
move on.
We'll move on.
But it is annoying that two of the bye teams are double-digit underdogs for their first game. And the number one team who went undefeated is an underdog in its first game. That's weird. I mean, I'm sorry.
Strange.
It's screwed up how they did this.
And they're already saying the discussions are happening
exactly. They're going to change it all.
It will not be the conference title winners being given buys.
Right. Exactly. It should just be the top four
Top
teams.
4 teams.
But in which case that would be like, so who would that be? That would be Oregon, Texas,
Yeah, Oregon, Texas, Georgia, and
Penn State, right?
Yeah,
or
probably.
no, Penn State lost to Oregon, so
I think actually Arizona State might actually been the 4 seed. I'd have to look it up and see what the
well,
ranking.
the 4 seed, but I'm talking
yeah,
about the
actual
rankings. Anyway, the one thing I did like, which I thought was super cool, which I didn't going in think maybe it was the best idea.
Yeah, Oregon, Georgia, Texas, Penn State would have had buys.
Yeah, those are the 4 teams with bye, and that makes more sense.
Sure.
But anyway, they'll fix that. Okay, so now we're done complaining about that.
Yeah.
The one thing I thought was cool that I didn't think would be as cool is the on-campus games.
Yes.
I thought that was awesome.
Oh my God. And that we got some weather, right? We forced some teams to go up and play in the cold. And I just and I know you probably won't change this because there's money to be made at these neutral site games and all that. But my God, if we're gonna do a 12-team playoff, and I do think it's going to expand, but why can't we have the first couple rounds at home venues?
2 rounds?
At least. I understand that you got to have the bowl games incorporated again.
Well, what a
There's-
reward for the teams that are getting a bye.
There's a lot of money to be made, but why couldn't we have what we had, the home one? And then this one would be, if you had the seeding currently, and again, it would be changed, but Arizona State would be hosting Texas. Oregon at Autzen would be hosting Ohio State again. Yes, please. Boise State welcoming in Penn State. And again, we won't do it because Boise State seats 40,000 people, and they're not going to do that. And then Georgia welcoming Notre Dame into the dome. Or I guess that wouldn't be the dome; it'd be between the hedges. It would be amazing. I loved Notre Dame getting the game. I'm sorry, and then the game. You can say what you want about Indiana. Again, we're going to move past that. But just the playoff environment in 20 degrees at Notre Dame. And did you see like the college football game day was there and McAfee's there and they're kicking field goals for $1 million with touchdown Jesus in the background.
Yeah,
and
the kid missed it, by the way.
Oh yeah, he fell down twice on his ass. That was freaking amazing. And then the whiteout at Penn State. I mean, that should be this round. And then after that, you can move
the Final Four.
The Final Four, and then the national title game. And I know a lot of people have said this. The national title game should be the Rose Bowl. It should culminate every year with the Rose Bowl. But
on the first.
Yes. But you want to move it around, fine. But the Final Four and the national title, fine. Play them at the bowl games. But this round right here should still be home environment because it's what makes college football different. It's what makes it special, the on-campus environment, and I love that. Even though the games weren't compelling, I love and ate, and I was eating it up.
Yeah. Tennessee had a home game. Yeah, still
That-
got bludgeoned.
That was my favorite part, was watching 35,000 plus Tennessee fans. I love watching fan bases get their heart ripped out. It's hilarious. And Tennessee really went, and I get why. Ohio State thought they were going to fall on their ass, and Ryan Day is going to get fired, and does he need to get fired? And this team has, what do they do? And there's just all this narrative around Ohio State. And kudos to the Buckeyes, because that's an easy place to fold your tent and go home. It is. And kudos to them for showing up and planting a foot in the ass of the SEC, which, by the way, I didn't hear a single talking head saying crap about the SEC getting their ass kicked in that game. And I'm an SEC guy. I believe the SEC year in and year out is the best conference. But if you're going to sit there and you're going to drag SMU and you're going to drag the ACC and you're going to drag Indiana and say they don't belong there, then why can't we say the same thing about Tennessee? Because Tennessee lost 42-17 and it wasn't that close.
Yeah, and Tennessee was they're pretty good.
Yes.
And it was a complete domination.
Yes. But we're not going to say that Tennessee doesn't belong, but because SMU
Yeah,
or Indiana doesn't play a good game and gets boat raced. By the way, lots of times in other college football playoffs, we've seen teams get boat raced in the opening round.
semifinals all the time.
Happens all the time.
Well, Missouri came back and beat Iowa today, or else the Big Ten would have been 3-0 against the SEC in bowls.
Yeah.
And there's 2 more matchups head-to-head tomorrow.
So let's just
just
stop with because you lost a game, your entire conference and your
Exactly.
entire season is thrown out and that you don't belong. Zip
And the
it.
other thing is, that wasn't out there when Indiana made the playoff. No one had boo to say about it because everyone's like, oh, they earned it. They won all their games, but then they lost that close one to Ohio State. Well, now once they lose, it's easy to look in the rear view and say it should have been different. Shut up.
I agree that it shouldn't have been different, but I got to say that team did not belong in the playoff.
They didn't look good.
They deserved
but they
it.
earned their spot
That's
there.
right. I agree with that, but come on, that was anyway, who cares? I thought, and I think Herb Street might have said it on the broadcast, that the whole Vols fans turnout in Columbus might have actually hurt them because it got the Ohio State fans kind of,
they were low.
It got them a little fired up.
You got B in their bonnet.
Yeah, so now you've got a noise off.
Yeah.
And of course, even though you got a ton of fans there, Ohio State fans are going to win that. And then they get a couple early touchdowns, and dude, I can't imagine the crap that was rained down upon a lot of those people in orange.
They just kept showing some of the orange sections and their faces. Like you mentioned, sad BYU face. Just the Eli Manning face, whatever you want to call it, sad BYU face. Watching people that spent thousands of dollars, flew to Columbus, painted themselves up orange, wore the overalls. You showed and then just to see them in real time, realize that it was all for naught. That you are going to get absolutely boat raced. I will take those crowd shots all day, every day.
Yeah, pouty sports fan face is really amazing.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
And pouty sports player face and coach face. I mean, there's a lot of pouty coach faces.
Oh yeah.
So anyway,
Look at you, Indiana.
Let's get back on track here. How much better are each of these teams, Oregon and Ohio State, as they meet for a second time in the Rose Bowl? We'll get to that next on The Fan.
Oregon Ducks football is
scenarios. Then we have our stock watch. A lot of Rose Bowl talk today and tomorrow. The game will be here on the Fan, 2 o'clock Wednesday. And, of course, stay tuned tonight after us. Ducks Roundtable will be on. Anthony Newman, Will Ortner.
No Ortner tonight. Ortner's stuck on pilot's duty.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's got to hurt.
Anthony Newman, myself, and Schultze
Hot
will man the roundtable.
Ortner's.
He's pissed.
He's not happy
He's
about
steaming.
that. Yeah, he's gonna.
Pilot's taking on the Beavers, I do believe.
And by
think
being
that's
on
right.
pilot's duty, that just means he's in a studio listening to Swigard yell at him.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Sure
not
he's-
a good.
Sure, he's thrilled.
Yeah, stay out of his way. At any rate, teams Oregon, Ohio State, both better than the first meeting, I would think, right? I mean, I know Birch is healthy this time, which is helpful.
Birch is healthy. I think largely the only thing that I'll point to is I think the Ohio State offensive line is not. You lost 2 All-Americans, and I know that they've had to shuffle some things around, and it certainly didn't look like it was a problem against Tennessee. So that offensive line has been an issue. I thought it was an issue at the end of the Oregon game. Certainly was an issue against Michigan.
Can I stop you right there?
Yeah.
And I asked this. Didn't the center? So they've lost 2 key offensive linemen.
Yes, they lost their best tackle and they lost their center, and then they've had to reshuffle the line a couple times because
Yes.
of guys now having to move out of position.
Didn't the center go down in the Oregon game?
No, the tackle went down in the Oregon
Okay.
game.
It was the left
that's right.
tackle.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the center went down.
He tore his
Later?
Achilles in practice
Uh,
later on.
was that before the Michigan game?
I think it was before the Michigan
See,
game.
okay, this is what I'm getting at. I think that I think that we are making a little too much of those injuries for this reason. One, when a guy goes down in a game,
Yeah.
it is much tougher to cover that up
100%.
than once you know he's gone and you have a week or two to prepare for a game. See Tennessee,
Yeah.
right? When Ohio State can shuffle and practice knowing who's playing where and not have to do it on the fly, that is completely different than in the most hostile environment you'll play in at Autzen Stadium. I don't know what point of the game he went down, but you have to adjust on the fly in that game. That is really, really tough to do.
Sure.
I think another example of that is Georgia with Gunnar Stockton.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's incredible that Georgia won that game against Tennessee when Carson Beck went out because they only had a halftime to adjust.
Yeah. And
And that is so hard to do, and they still beat Texas.
it's kind of crazy. And the narrative around that Georgia's offense was somehow like not effective. Dude, that offense was so scatterbrained. They made it work, but their offense was kind of him just running around with this. I mean, it was backyard football.
Yeah, it was because they didn't have any time.
No.
So now here's what I'm guessing, that when Georgia plays Notre Dame, because Georgia has had whatever that is, 2 weeks to prepare with knowing Gunnar Stockton is their quarterback, he is going to look
better.
so much better.
There'll be
So
a package.
that's my point about the Ohio State offensive line, because then the Michigan game, because that's what I was asking, he went down, the center went down. He's the even better player, right?
Yeah.
Isn't he like the big All-American stud?
Yeah, both of them. Yeah.
He goes down right before the Michigan game. They're like, oh, crap. Michigan game comes, and what happens?
Yeah, it just
Same
it
thing.
was ugly.
Well, then they're both out a week or however long it took for them to play the Tennessee game, and now they score 42 points, and the offensive line looks great. And by the way, they didn't just punish an SMU or an Indiana.
That's a good front.
They punished, well, and SMU has a pretty good defensive front too,
Yeah.
so I shouldn't have used them as an example, but you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Tennessee's defensive front is one of the best in the country.
Yep.
And a lot of the reason why a lot of people thought the Vols had a really good shot at winning that game is because of that matchup. Well, Ohio State threw cold water all over that.
Yep.
So that's why I just say, not to interrupt you with everything there, but I just feel like we're making a little too much of the offensive line injuries at Ohio State. They have had time to shore those up. We have seen them shore those up, and I feel like they're still, because they're Ohio State, you got backups that are better than half the offensive linemen in college football.
Yes.
I feel like they're okay there. They're not ideal because they want their starters, of course, but I feel like they're okay.
Yeah, you asked to me, are both teams better? And yeah, I mean,
I think they are.
There isn't any sort of glaring injury other than the Ohio State one. And again, they certainly didn't show any ill effects of that against Tennessee. I think both sides have kind of grown and learned and evolved. And I think both sides are going to make adjustments. I would say that I think the Ohio State road has been a little rockier than Oregon's.
Certainly been up and down.
A little bit up and down where, since that, I mean, Oregon was pushed by Wisconsin, right? That wasn't very pretty. But other than that, it's been smooth sailing. Oregon hasn't looked great in every single game, but that was the only real time they were pushed. Whereas Ohio State, I mean, look, they're one play away from losing to Penn State. They did lose to Michigan, right? In a very, very ugly game. So if you want to say that the team that's been more consistent is Oregon, if you want to say the team that has probably had to make and has made more adjustments, it's Ohio State. And I think the team that would more likely look different in this game, it's going to be Ohio State.
Agreed.
Ohio State really had to go back and really change how they play defense after the Oregon game.
Yep.
They went into that Oregon game thinking, hey, we got the best secondary in the country. We're going to man up on the outside. We can beat you just rushing 4, and you can't run the ball on us. And I'll tell you what, Oregon, within a quarter, Ohio State was like, well, we're not doing this anymore. Evan Stewart took Ohio State's game plan and put it in a blender and said, F you. And then
they averaged 10 yards. Did you know that Oregon averaged 10 yards per pass in the first meeting?
Yeah. Dude, they just
But
bludgeoned
do you want a fun fact? They said this in the Tennessee game.
Yeah.
Ohio State has not given up a passing touchdown since Dylan Gabriel. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah.
So
they've changed everything and it's worked.
Yeah. So Ohio State is changed it up. They've gotten more exotic. They're no longer just playing their simple coverage. They're running more mixes, more stunts up front. They didn't touch Dylan Gabriel in that game, and they can't do that. So Ohio State is going to change the way they play. And Oregon will obviously have their adjustments based on that. But if you said which one is going to have to play a different game and will play a different game, it will be Ohio State.
Yeah.
And I think since that Oregon game, Ohio State has undergone a bit of a radical shift the way they play defense. And I also think even on offense, and especially after the Michigan game, I really think Ohio State has been forced out of their comfort zone on defense after the Oregon game, and certainly with Penn State and after the Michigan game. And you saw that against Tennessee. They came out and finally were aggressive. I mean, if I'm an Ohio State fan, I'm sitting there and thinking to myself, where the hell has that been? Where has this sort of aggressive mentality come? And so the defense has certainly made the adjustment since Oregon. And now the question becomes, has the offense now made a similar jump after that bewildering performance against Michigan? Is that the Ohio State offense that we can expect?
Well,
and if it is, now you're in for it, because that's
they were in for it the first time.
Yeah, that's a hell of a
what
hell
they
of an
score
attack.
on them the first time? 31?
30 something like that.
See, I keep going back to this. Oregon has played 3 teams that are in the playoff.
Yeah.
And they have given up 34, 31, and 37.
Yes.
Okay, the Oregon defense just kind of is what it is. It's very good. It's
good, not great.
opportunistic, but it is not a great defense.
No.
And I don't see how you can think that Ohio State isn't getting to 30. The question is what does Ohio State's defense do differently to get after Dylan Gabriel? There were only, another fun fact, there were only 5 tackles for loss in the first meeting.
Yeah.
The defensive fronts weren't doing much of anything.
No.
But the defensive front for Ohio State against Tennessee looked dominant. Now, Tennessee is not even close offensively to what Oregon is.
No.
So that, to me, is really where this is going to look different. If Ohio State wins, it's going to be because their defensive front warms up Dylan Gabriel. Because otherwise, Dylan Gabriel, even with the defensive changes on the back end, will pick them apart.
Yeah, and you're going to see some different coverages, and they really thought that Sawyer and those guys up front for Ohio State, which is a good front. I mean, there's NFL guys in the front of that Ohio State defense.
Yeah, they look great against Tennessee.
They really thought that those guys were just going to line up and I'm not going to say necessarily have their way, but Tumalau and Sawyer and Ty Hamilton and those guys, I think they just thought they would line up and they would take care of Oregon's front, and they didn't. They came close a couple times and forced Gabriel to move around, but he can also move around in the pocket. And Ohio State is going to have to get creative. They're going to have to take more chances. And I promise you that they will not see just single coverage on the outside on Evan Stewart and Tez Johnson. I promise you that is not going to be in the game plan for Ohio State.
That's how they lost the first one.
Exactly.
All right, well, more on the Rose Bowl coming up, but up next, let's get to some NFL playoff scenarios and what, I mean, on paper, looks like a good game for Monday Night Football. It's probably not going to be. That next on The Fan.
Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Brian Buckley with this Sports Center update brought to you by Vulcan Design and Construction. Check out their award-winning outdoor living designs or schedule your free design consultation at vulcandc.com. First on the Fan, Week 17 in the NFL wrapping up tonight with Monday Night Football in the Bay Area as the Lions visit the 49ers. That one kicking off at 5:15 on ABC and ESPN with the Lions favored by 3.5. Just one college bowl game today in Nashville as Iowa took on 19th-ranked Missouri in the TransPerfect Music City Bowl. Missouri winning that one 27-24 after coming back from 10 down in the second half. The Blazers are back on the hardwood tonight and looking for their third straight win of the homestand when they welcome in the Philadelphia 76ers to Moda Center. Matisse Thybulle, the former Sixer, is out for Portland. Delano Banton, Tumani Kamara, Jeremy Grant, and Robert Williams all listed as questionable. Joel Embiid, Kyle Lowry, Eric Gordon, and Andre Drummond are game-time decisions for Philly. That game tips at 7 o'clock. The Sixers favored by 6.5. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Ryan Buckley, the 1080 Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Got a smart speaker? It's The Fan in your office and every room of your home. Tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
If you can find the time to explore the mind of a stripper, then you can find the time to spend with your actual family.
Primetime with Isaac and Suk.
Damn! What they on? All steroids and no carbs? Them some thick-ass kids.
This is Primetime.
We're not like you. We're grown-ups.
Your source for the best in local, regional, and national sports.
Oh, my goodness.
Here are Isaac Ropp and Jason Sakanik with Primetime on 1080 The Fan.
All right, welcome back. Hour 2 of our program. We are back in the saddle here after some holiday cheer. Big Sook's right over there, fresh from his trip to the Great White North.
I was in the Great White North.
Yeah.
Love Canada.
And then Ryan Buckley's over there. He is back from the Bay Area.
Yes,
That's
hello.
where he's from. Hello.
Difference is I had to pay for my vacation. Unlike some unlike some privileged people over there that are knee-deep in free vacations and Will Clark t-shirts. The privilege
I don't know
is
about knee-deep in free vacations. That sounds awful nice.
privilege that Buck has. It's just stunning.
Well, we hope you had a great holiday. We're going to get back some Rose Bowl talk later, but we've got Lions-Niners tonight, Monday Night Football.
Yeah, which shouldn't be a thing.
Well, it's not a thing.
Well,
It should be a thing, but it's not.
It's not. And I know Dan Campbell tried to come out and say that he was playing people. Dan, I swear to God, I love Dan Campbell. I love him.
Yeah.
If he plays his starters and someone important gets hurt because like 19,000 people are hurt, that will be a lot. And I have tried to defend Dan Campbell at every turn because the guy's done a hell of a job and he's very aggressive and I can't be critical of just being who you are, but there is no reason. Next week, if you don't know, the Lions and the Vikings will play in Week 18, and the winner of that is the number 1 seed and gets a bye week. And
the loser is the 5 seed.
The loser is the 5 seed and has to go on the road.
Game. Very big game.
And no one needs a bye week more than the Detroit Lions. They're the most beat up team in football, and the fact that they're still here is amazing. Do not play anyone against the Niners, Dan. Don't do it. There's no value to it.
And then San Francisco,
they're done.
Lost season.
Yeah.
So it's just on paper at the start of the year, it's like, oh, this is the game of the year. Yeah, it's
And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off.
No, just maybe like take a week off from biting kneecaps. Maybe just like kick someone in the shin, and then next week bite all the kneecaps you want, Dan.
But they want to avenge the playoff loss.
He just came right out and said, "Give me the criticism now. We're playing everybody." Yeah.
Well, he said they're playing everybody, but that doesn't mean
that you couldn't pull them early.
One series.
Well, Josh Allen said that he wants to play next week as well. And
why can I ask a question? Why would you play 1 or 2 series?
Well, Allen wants to keep his start streak going. He said that's important to him.
Okay.
So,
What's
that's
it
fine.
at?
That I don't know. He just I saw the
I didn't know
clips.
he had a start streak.
Yeah, he's got a start streak.
All right.
And so he said that's important to him.
Okay, I can see why.
I don't know. Maybe you want to keep some, semblance of like mental. You're staying ready. You're staying sharp. Going through habits or whatever. But there is no reason. Look how beat up you are. I think last game you already lost 3 more starters that went down with injuries
in Detroit.
Yeah, stop getting people hurt. That's just this game means nothing. You're 13-2. Go to 13-3. you're locked into the 1 or the 5, depending on what happens next week. So
yeah, this doesn't factor into the one or
like the Chiefs have already said, and which is weird because next week Denver
Carson Wentz, baby.
Yeah, Denver plays Kansas City next week, and that if Denver wins, they're in. If Denver loses, thanks for coming. You're probably done. Then it's Miami or Cincinnati.
Well, no, Denver needs. Okay, so let's go through those real quick. Okay, so here's week 18 is always stupid.
Yeah.
Formerly week 17, but they play 18 weeks now. Because most of the time many of the teams aren't playing for anything and they don't, and it's just stupid. It's a stupid week. But there are occasionally games that matter. And in this case, we have Detroit, Minnesota. That's the biggest game next week because like you said, doesn't matter what Lions do tonight. It is the winner gets the number 1 seed in the NFC or they go on the road as the 5 seed. Crazy.
Yeah.
And that game is in Detroit. Where's that game?
I need to check.
I don't even know.
It is in the Motor City.
In Detroit. Okay. Yeah. So there's that. But Denver, Cincinnati, Miami are all in play for the final AFC wildcard spot. Denver hosts Kansas City. Now, the Chiefs aren't going to be playing anyone.
No, the Chiefs have already said, we're not playing starters. Everyone sits.
So Denver should win and get in. If they win, they are in.
Yeah.
Now, if they lose, they need a Miami and Cincinnati loss.
Yes.
Cincinnati is playing at Pittsburgh, and I want to say the Steelers don't have anything to play for either.
But Tomlin says they want to get the loss stink off of them because they've been losing a bunch.
Yeah, they might be a little pissed off, the Steelers. So that could be a tough game. They have to win that. They also then need Denver and Miami to both lose. So Cincinnati needs a lot of help.
And the problem is that the Dolphins are playing
the Jets.
The New York Jets.
Yeah, so Miami, they're the last one. They need Denver to lose. And if Denver somehow loses, if they just win at the Jets, Miami is in.
Yep.
And I don't know if Tua's playing or not. But
yes, I mean, I think everything is full go there. So, chances are Cincinnati's, and by the way, Cincinnati's the only team that I think most people want to see in, and they're not going to get in.
I don't want to see them in there.
Yeah, they need a small miracle.
Watching Joe Burrow play.
I love Joe Burrow.
I would like to see them.
The reason I don't want to see them in there is because I could see them going to the Super Bowl.
It feels like if they got in, they could upset the first team that they played.
Absolutely. Well, I think that if they got in there, watch out.
Yeah.
Their defense looked a little better.
Yeah.
And Joe Burrow's just freaking unstoppable.
Joe Burrow, if his team wasn't so abysmal in one-score games and his defense could do anything, Joe Burrow would be the MVP of this league.
They just had kind of a weird year.
It's strange. Well, their defense is really bad, and it's also strange because it's such a crappy organization, and they've screwed up Jamar Chase, and they screwed up T. Higgins. T. Higgins is probably going to have to leave, and they've completely wasted this window because their defense is such a mess. They're not going to be able to pay T. Higgins because they're going to have to try to rebuild the defense, and I believe that they, from a salary cap standpoint, I think they have the second or third most expensive defense in the NFL, and it's one of the very worst defenses in the NFL. So they're just a mess. Because if they just get an adequate, like you said, the last couple weeks, if they had gotten adequate defensive play throughout the course of this season, Cincinnati is going into this as one of the most dangerous teams. And
Who'd
now
they just play?
They're not going to be in. They just had the big win over.
Who'd they just beat?
They beat Denver, heads up.
Oh,
right?
it was Denver.
Yeah, they beat them in OT.
Yeah, and I thought
their
defense looked pretty good in that game.
Yeah.
And I mean, Denver.
Their defense has been trash. By the way,
Denver's defense is good.
Yeah, the Bo Nix, that was the longest touchdown pass in the air this year. Dude, that's a dime. That whole check down Bo Nix thing, dude, that's one of the best passes you'll see all year. Dude, that thing was beautiful, and it's been a really, really good year for NFL rookies. And if I were to tell you going into this that there would be 3 franchise quarterbacks that you felt really, really good about, a fourth one that you're like, I can see something, and then the one that you weren't really going to be buying into was Caleb Williams, that's how weird this year has been. Drake May, feel great about. Bo Nix, feel great about. Jaden Daniels, feel great about. I think Penix in Atlanta, I know it's been early, but
he's going to be good. Dude.
I think they feel positive. The one that I think you're going into this year that was kind of a lost year, that you're scratching your head and be like, God, we need year 2 to be a lot better, was the can't-miss prospect of Caleb Williams.
Do you think that would have been the same with any of the other 4 guys had they gone to the Bears?
Yes.
I think it's hard to overcome that.
Yes.
Yeah. And by the way, same thing with the receivers. Marvin Harrison Jr. was viewed as the best receiver prospect we've ever seen, and Marvin Harrison Jr. has been okay. But when you look at the other rookie receivers that are out there, Dude, there are like absolute beasts and studs out there. If you want to include the tight end, we throw Brock Bowers in there too,
Yeah.
and Malik Neighbors and Brian Thompson Jr. and Ladd McConkey, who's having a hell of a year. And the one again that's just kind of like, it's Marvin Harrison
Yeah.
Jr. Like we were told that Marvin Harrison, this is why the NFL draft, and I love the draft and I like digging into it, and I think it's very fascinating, but it's not a science. It's taking educated guesses. Just be careful with anyone being like, oh, they can't. Marvin Harrison Jr., we were told, was the greatest thing since sliced bread. And that dude has been the definition of, hey, he's fine.
Yeah, but
And
Kyler
Ca-
Murray sucks.
And Caleb Williams is just, it started out rough and then it got a little better. And then it's just been, since that Hail Mary game against the Commanders, dude, that thing has been an absolute abortion. And, you know, it's NFL drafts, there is nothing guaranteed in this world. But this has been a really, really big year for NFL rookies on the offensive side of the ball.
Did you see the stat on Kyler Murray they showed the other night on the, or maybe it was on social media after the game when they lost to the Rams?
What did they? No, I did
That
not.
dude, Kyler Murray,
Yeah.
has played. Okay, so I'm gonna quiz you.
Sure.
Okay, bros.
All right.
Straight up in the division
Mhm.
from November on. Okay.
Oh, I'm guessing this is terrible.
In the division.
Yeah.
So Rams, Seahawks, Niners.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray's record in the last 18 games from November on.
Ooh, last 18 games?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say
2-16.
I would think it's got to be better than that, right? I go
Maybe.
like you said 18. I go like 5-13.
1-17.
God,
Dude, he's terrible.
I was like doing a Rolodex and I could not think of wins during that period. So
terrible.
Yeah. Well, the verdict's out and it's been long enough, and
I don't even want it. Even if he's a reclamation
Yeah,
scrap heap
it's
guy,
just-
I don't want him.
he's not.
Get out of here
Yeah, it's
with your
just-
little
un-
Hutch uniform.
Unfortunately, the contract that he has now it's one of the worst ones. It's not working.
Primetime Stock Watch up next. What we're buying and selling from the weekend in sports on the Fan.
The Fan is live on YouTube, Twitch, and now Windows. Is the hype accurate or a bunch of hot gas? Before you buy or sell, listen close.
It's easy to grin when your ship comes in and you've got the stock market beat. But the man worthwhile is the man who can smile when his shorts are too tight in the seat.
Primetime Stock Watch is brought to you by 1-800-DIVORCE. When you need to take stock of your rights, 1-800-DIVORCE is on your side. Call 1-800-DIVORCE today.
All right, pleased to have you along. We'll have In the News coming up next. It's been a while since your noted newsman has been on the air.
It has been a while, and I do need my news.
And you'll get it.
Thank God.
Bigfoot may have killed a couple of bros.
Of course. Gay Bigfoot?
We'll have that story.
Or straight Bigfoot?
Well, I don't know. Could be.
Is he in the Jay Leno gay beat-up club?
These are important factors.
But first, here's Buckley with our Stock Watch.
Well, I've heard the Rose Bowl's kind of a big deal, so let's start there. Here is Buckeyes quarterback Will Howard on facing the Ducks for a second time.
I said, the moment we were walking off that field, we're going to see these guys again, whether it was, in the Big Ten or here. And here we are, man. We knew we were going to get another crack at these guys. It's hard to beat a team twice, and we're hungry. We're ready for this opportunity. I'm just so fired up that God blessed us with a second chance at this thing, because in life you don't get a lot of second chances. So it's a blessing, and we just gotta not let it pass us by.
Buy or sell that with a second crack at the Ducks, the Buckeyes will knock off the number 1 seed on Wednesday.
I'm gonna sell it. Again, I think this is a coin flip game. I'm not gonna say that I have a great feeling about it either way. And I said this about the first one. It's not Knotson, so if you're an Ohio State fan, I think you feel pretty good about that. I think Oregon's been the more consistent team. You can sit there and say that Ohio State, it was the one PI call, but Oregon had the interception that should have gone their way. Oregon played a bit of a sloppy game. They can point to a handful of plays and say, hey, if we make those plays, we win that game going away. So I think this is the definition of a coin flip. I also don't buy into it's hard to beat a team twice. It happens all the time. In fact, we pointed out this year alone, Boise State beat UNLV twice. Georgia beat Texas twice. In fact, Washington last year beat Oregon twice. So that whole thing, I don't believe in it. And ultimately, and this is why I'm going to pick the Ducks, and I think it's going to be another 1 or 2 point game, is Dylan Gabriel. I think both of these teams, you can make a strong case. These are the 2 best teams in the country. And there's NFL talent across the board, but to me, the biggest gap at any position. So if you look at Oregon's receivers, Ohio State's receivers, O-line, D-line, D-line, the biggest gap for me anywhere on this field is Dylan Gabriel, to me, is significantly better than Will Howard and has been all year. And Dylan Gabriel ate up Ohio State and that vaunted defense in the first game. And I know they're going to make some adjustments. They're going to play a little bit different. Dylan Gabriel is still a much better quarterback than Will Howard, and that right there is why I will say, in a very, very close one in another classic, I think Oregon nicks him again.
Well, you're going to come right out with the who's going to win the game?
Yeah, that's what he did.
That's a buy or sell.
That's ballsy. Well, before I get to that, may I first address Will Howard's cliches? One of which was, it's hard to beat the same team twice. You addressed that. That is actually not a thing.
It's not.
Why people keep saying that is just maybe it's like word salad stuff. It just keeps you. Yep. It keeps it gets you closer to the end of the interview. So you just say that, so it may help you feel better. But that is not a thing. So strike that from the record. He also said we don't get a lot of second chances in life.
Life's full of second chances. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
I kind of feel like it is. I feel like oftentimes we do get second chances, and that's where
I would say most of the time. We get second
most
chances.
of it, right? So I don't like Will Howard for those 2 reasons.
Well, additionally, that God blessed them with the matchup against the Ducks.
Yes,
and no slight to God, but I don't think he cares who the Buckeyes were playing, does he?
I can't imagine he would.
I can't imagine he would.
He was busy worried about the BYU Colorado game. I mean, come on. Clearly, he was on our side.
I got to tell you guys, I don't feel good about this.
Yeah. You like Ohio State?
I do. And I keep going back. I want to see what you think about this. I was going to bring this up later, but since we're talking about it, what do you think about the comparisons that are starting to creep up out there in the stratosphere?
People are saying.
Do you buy the Oregon is the Lions comparison? Because I kind of do. And that
how so?
What that means is that the defense just isn't going to be there in the end. And Detroit's, it's because of injuries.
Sure.
Oregon, Again, they've played 3 of these playoff teams, and they have given up 34, 31, and 37. That does not give me a lot of confidence in their defense. That does not mean they can't win this game. I think this is going to be a freaking shootout. I think it's going to be a wonderful game, but what I keep going back to is I don't know that I trust Oregon's defense. I think Ohio State is a little bit, and I mean a hair more talented and balanced. And that right there makes me think Ohio State gets the second one.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. Like, to your point, and again, I'm still going by Dylan Gabriel thing, but I understand the argument because the Boise State game where you gave up 34, coin flip game, probably should have lost that, but you found a way to grind it out, right? The Ohio State game, give up 31, coin flip game, you can make the argument without the pass interference call, you lose that game. And then the Penn State game wasn't quite as close, right? Penn State.
But dude, they did a lot of good stuff offensively.
They did a ton of good stuff.
And that's not good.
And just they couldn't stop anything that Oregon did.
And I'd also like to say that I think that the second time, Ohio State, it's hard. When you go into, I think Oregon really had this sort of underdog mentality, even though they were the number 1 team and undefeated.
And they're still trying to play that.
And that might help them. I want them to play that because it is really hard when you have the bullseye on your back. Yeah. And I think this is a bad spot in a sense that Ohio State is feeling really good after their performance against Tennessee, but they also still have that chip on shoulder underdog thing, even though they're not the underdog in the game. Yeah. With probably the more talented roster, they have the underdog mentality. I do not like that scenario for Oregon. Look, Oregon is really freaking good. This is going to be, I think, a great game. And when push comes to shove late, I have more faith in Dan Lanning than I do Ryan Day. So I could very well be wrong. But the way this has all played out, I don't feel great about Oregon in this game. I just don't. I think they're catching Ohio State.
And Ohio State is coming off
at a tough time.
Ohio State played a real good game. Oregon's been sitting around for 3.5 weeks.
Right. Could be rust there.
Maybe there's something there.
I don't know. My money may be on Ohio State. I haven't bet it yet, but I may be betting Ohio State.
It's like one of those, like, you've pulled out 3 games out of the fire. You know, maybe the 4th time is
hard to do that a bunch of times.
Yeah, maybe it's not
until Lanning pulls off the 12-man bid again. And
he's going to have something else up his sleeve that
they've already
use.
Closed that loophole, though.
Yeah, that's right. He'll have something new. He always does. I don't think any of the 3 of us will be surprised if either team wins this football game.
Couldn't. Now that is a true statement.
Yeah, that we're Chris Russo. Is it? No, it was not Russo. The other one.
Francesa.
Yeah, Francesa.
Come on, dude.
Yeah, sorry.
Slipping.
I can see him winning this game.
I can see him winning this game. I can see him losing this game.
Well, we were singing the praises of the Pop-Tart Bowl at the start of this one.
Yes.
Let's check in on Mario Cristobal and specifically what he said about his quarterback Cam Ward before the Pop-Tart Bowl.
Nowadays in college football, we are compensated at all levels, right? Coaches, players, administrators, and to do a job, and you must finish the job. I think Cam's DNA, his upbringing, everything that he is made of and stands for is the right kind of stuff, the stuff you want your team made of. He's had a tremendous impact on our community, our team, our program, alumni, and so he understands the importance of finishing, and he understands the caliber of opponent that we're playing and the importance to play at a really high level to give ourselves the best opportunity in this game. So certainly credit to him and the rest of those seniors.
Well, after setting the new D1 passing touchdown record, Cam Ward benched himself at the half and saw his team lose by 1 to Iowa State.
That was great, by the way.
that he did that?
That they lost. I thought it was great that Iowa State came back and won.
Well, the other thing that was great is that Mario Cristobal once again kicked a field goal down 4 when he needed a touchdown.
Yes, doing.
But buy or sell that if Cam Ward was going to start this game for the personal record, he should have been expected to finish it as well.
First off, just everyone bite me, okay? It's the Pop-Tart Bowl.
Sounds like you can sell it.
And Cam Ward doesn't care. And you know who else doesn't care? The NFL. Every D-bag out there being like, he's going to have to answer this. You know who skipped bowl games? Jaden Daniels.
Drake May.
Has anyone looked at Dre May or Jaden Daniels here and been like, you know what, those guys skipped their bowl
and Bo
game.
Nix, by the way, did not, or he played it.
I think the argument is like, why are you sitting out at halftime? You played the first half. Why can't you play?
He played the first half to get the personal record, and then he's like, I'm good.
It is your choice. You are playing in essentially a meaningless bowl game. You're putting yourself on the line. That dude's going to be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. Just be happy you showed up and played the half. And by the way, it doesn't sound like any of the players care either.
Making a liar out of your coach. Finish the job.
None of the Hurricane players have any problems with this. By the way, Christian McCaffrey sat out of his bowl game. Leonard Fournette, I think, was one of the first guys to sit out of a bowl game. We are just at the point now where, yes, shocking development. This is professional football, and everyone has business decisions to make. And so if Cam Ward wants to play a half and then be like, you know what, guys, my hamstring feels a little tighter.
Is that what he said?
No, I'm just saying there could be
he wasn't available for comment after the game.
Of course
Shocker.
not.
You know, you'd be a million reasons why you decide. But for whatever reason, he decided to not play in the second half of the bowl game. Would it have been better had he just said, I'm not going to play at all?
Yes.
Well,
100%. What are we buying or selling?
Buy or sell that if he wanted to start the game, he should have been expected to finish it.
I don't know about expected to, but yes, I think it's a bad look that you pulled out at half.
If he was available to play.
You played in the game, finish the game.
That's
like,
what
do you
I'm
not care about freaking winning?
No, he doesn't.
Mario said he does.
Obviously not. But, I mean, they were winning the game. I don't know. I thought it was a bad look. I don't think it matters for the NFL. I'm with you on that.
Next year when he's the number 4 pick overall, he's not going to be sitting there and be like, "Oh my God, I wish I would."
No, he's not. But at the same time,
Pop-Tart Bowl
I think what
championship.
I think what we want out of our athletes, oftentimes as fans, is just freaking. We want them to care as much as we care. So if I'm a Miami
Or
fan,
just sit, but
or
you
Mario
started the game
Cristobal,
and then your team lost by 1.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So we're in there going, "This is a great game. Let's win this game." You wanted to play in the game, signifying to us that you want to win the game.
Or that you care about the game.
But you don't care about the game. You only care about your own stupid record, and then you just leave the team out hanging out to dry to lose the game. I thought that sucked. I didn't like that for Miami. I thought it was funny that Cristobal screwed up and lost. Yeah. But I don't know. It says a little bit about Cam Ward to me, but again, I'm with you. It doesn't mean anything for the NFL.
Yeah. If you're not playing in the playoffs, you're not playing in a BCS bowl, you're not playing in a national title bowl.
Well, but I would have
go take care of yourself.
Well, I agree with that, but then don't play.
Yeah.
And then in the same arena, or at least a similar arena, Aaron Rodgers was asked about the conversation with interim head coach Jeff Ulbrich about him coming out of the game against the Bills.
I mean, it was 33-0. We were sitting there, and I said at some point, probably go with Tyrod here, huh? And then the next play, they threw a screen for a touchdown, so it's 48-0.
What?
So Aaron Rodgers saying that he benched himself on Sunday against the Buffalo Bills. Granted, they were getting absolutely housed 33 and then 40-0. But buy or sell, if we're going to crucify Anthony Richardson for pulling himself, we ought to be crucifying Rodgers too.
Different scenario. No, I think that's a different scenario. And by the way, Aaron Rodgers has earned the right to say, you know what, I'm not going back in there.
12 of 18 with 2 picks. So. Yeah. And by the way,
if I do go back in there, I'm throwing another pick 6, you little bitch.
I'm not coming back next year. It's just, God, we want every athlete to treat every game like it's the Super Bowl or Game 7 of the World Series, and it's just not. And so we've got to stop putting, as you said, we have to start putting our mentality, what we want, into these athletes. Who was the baseball player? Was it Manny Ramirez?
Yeah.
Said something like,
well, he said he said life will go on if we lose this series.
Yeah.
It was a playoff series. Boston fan went nuts. They're like, life won't go on. We're going to kill you.
It's going to
And how dare you suggest it will?
Yeah.
Or when Gronk lost the Super Bowl, right, and then someone saw Gronk at a Vegas party.
Yeah.
And everyone,
oh, how dare he get drunk at the end of his season?
Yeah. It's like we got to stop. We just got to stop with that.
All right. There is your Stock Watch, brought to you by Goldberg Jones. When it comes to divorce, custody, or child support issues, trust Goldberg Jones to help. Call 1-800-DIVORCE. Phone questions answered at no charge. In the News is next. Here's Buck.
Now, from the Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Brian Buckley with this Sports Center update. First on The Fan, Week 17 in the NFL wraps up with Monday Night Football in the Bay Area as the Lions visit the 49ers. That one kicking off at 5:15 on ABC and ESPN, with the Lions favored by 3.5. Only one college bowl game today, as that one was in Nashville, the Music City Bowl. Iowa took on 19th-ranked Missouri. Missouri wins that one 27-24 after erasing a 10-point deficit in the second half. And the Blazers are back on the hardwood tonight looking for their third straight win of the homestand as they welcome the Philadelphia 76ers to Moda Center. Former Sixer Matisse Thybulle out for Portland. Jelano Banton, Tamani Kamara, Jeremy Grant, and Robert Williams all listed as questionable. Joel Embiid, Kyle Lowry, Eric Gordon, and Andre Drummond are all game-time decisions for Philly. That went off at 7 o'clock. The Sixers favored by 6.5. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Ryan Buckley, the 1080 The Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
This is your home for year-round NFL coverage. The Odyssey app and 1080 The Fan.
Well, soup.
True story.
On 1080 The Fan. By the way, I saw a couple more salespeople, so it wasn't just Linda that was here
People
today.
are trickling back in.
Yeah, I don't know why, but sales bro Kurt was out there.
I think one of the, because we don't have a boss right now, but I think there's the threat of like a big boss looming.
Yeah.
Don't we have like a town hall coming up or something?
I don't know.
Yeah, Jan 6, your big event.
Yeah.
Jan 6 town hall. You want to know? You want to know something about that event? Do you want to know who won't be there?
That's what I was going to guess about that event, that you won't be in attendance.
Town hall with who? We don't even have a boss.
I think that's
the
what
boss's
the town,
boss, I think.
That we have the
Oh,
boss
head,
of bosses.
Oh, the regional guy?
Yeah.
Doug?
Yeah.
Dougie Doug's coming to town?
I'm busy on January 6th. You know I celebrate.
You know what he's going to say? He's like, you know what? We're just not going to hire a GM. You guys are on your own. Kim left us. She's down in California.
Your shows are still on the air? Keep going.
I like it. Readily ship. Let's do it. Inmates running the asylum.
All right, December 30, 2024. It is time for In the News. I'm your noted, excuse me, newsman.
Hungatunga.
All right. It's brought to you by the Advocates, injury attorneys at advocateslaw.com. Today is Bacon Day.
Well, who doesn't love bacon?
It's a delicious treat, bacon.
The other day, the old lady was making some sort of soup, and she was cutting up bacon, fresh bacon, to put in the soup. It was like a chowder. Yeah, I just ate a big handful of chopped up bacon, and it was.
You
could have done that for dinner, and I'm like, you need to make the soup. I would have eaten a handful of bacon.
So my wife makes bacon a lot in the mornings. How much? Let's have this conversation real quick.
Let's talk about it.
How many strips of bacon can you pound? Because
I
have learned that for me, it is a lot.
Bottomless pit.
Dude, she makes a pile of bacon, like plates of, just stacks it.
For as fatty as it is, it goes down very easy.
Well, it's so easy. I'll just have one more. Oh, I'll just have one more. Oh, I'll just have. It is so easy to walk by
No,
and
it's
just
just pure
grab
protein. No big deal. Let's have another one.
That's right.
I don't know how many strips come in a package. What is that, like maybe 15 strips?
I don't know.
I'm telling you, there would be no problem if you just had me walk a lap or like a loop around the kitchen, and every time I went by, I had to eat a piece of bacon. That pack would be gone in 3 minutes, and I wouldn't even blink.
You could eat.
Easy.
If 3 packs were sitting on the table,
you could get through it.
I think you could.
You could. It goes down way, way too easy.
All right, glad we covered that.
Not certain that's good for your heart, but you know.
It is also Festival of Enormous Changes at the Last Minute Day.
Oh, I don't like that.
Well,
wait.
That's because it's December 30th. And so I think what they're getting at here is that people want to change things.
Oh.
It's before the end of the year.
Sure.
Like rush to make your life so great.
Unless that rush is canceled plans, which is my heroin, then I had no use for it. But tell me there's a better feeling in the world than when plans get canceled and then you have to do that's terrible. Sorry. And then you hang up the phone and you're like, oh my God, this is the greatest feeling in the world.
Well, we've got a couple of dead guys I got to tell you about.
Oh boy.
Very sad story. 2 men from Portland were found dead inside a national forest in Washington.
Not good.
Skamania County.
Hey, I've been to Skamania County.
They died of exposure, says the Skamania County Sheriff's Office out there.
No good. That's just right. That's right across the old.
That's right.
The Bridge of the Gods.
Gifford Pinchot National Forest.
Yeah.
The
Beautiful
men.
out there.
You know what they were doing?
I don't. I was trying to think of what you do out in a national forest besides just like hang out and
Great
camp.
question. What do you do
Mushrooms?
in the national forest? You're looking for something.
Oh, truffles.
That's a good guess, but no.
Oh, Bigfoot.
They were searching for Bigfoot.
Oh my God.
They were searching for Sasquatch.
Oh my God. Really?
Yes. And they died.
Can I
So
ask,
how do we feel about this?
Can I ask a question?
You sure can.
Is that?
Is it tragic?
Well, it's
Is that what you're saying?
It's just,
I had the same thought.
Are you asking if it belongs in the Darwin Awards?
well, you died looking for Bigfoot. That's like, is it the equivalent if I jumped out of an airplane and said, I thought I could fly?
Right.
Is there much difference between dying looking for Bigfoot and not being prepared for the terrain of Bigfoot and
Also-
just saying, what was he doing jumping out of an airplane? He had no parachute. And they're like, dude, I think he thought he could fly.
Were these the first people to perish looking for Bigfoot? It feels like something that could have happened before.
That's a good question. I don't know. I think your example is a little off in that when you jump out of an airplane thinking you can fly, you are going to die.
Yeah.
When you go look for Sasquatch, you most of the time survive.
It's a valid point.
So,
but
I get what you're saying. It's like it's really hard to feel sorry for guys. Look, I don't want to be insensitive, but my God, you were out looking for Bigfoot.
Now the question
and you
becomes:
died?
did they die from exposure, or indeed
Bigfoot get them?
Bigfoot get them. And if you get killed, like if you're one of these Bigfoot hunters, like that is like all you do, like that is your life. Is it a good death? Is that like the end of what is that, Legends of the Fall, where he's like, it was a good death?
Yeah, an honorable death.
It's like,
I think-
is that an honorable death for a Bigfoot guy if Bigfoot kills you?
I think so.
Went out doing what he loved.
Right?
Hunting the big man.
But then what those men don't know, because they're dead, is that Bigfoot made it look like they died of exposure.
Yeah, well, that's what Bigfoot does.
So it's
You know,
tough
Bigfoot's
because
very
you
sneaky.
think like if I told you right now,
Yeah.
no one will ever know that Bigfoot exists. Like we don't think Bigfoot exists. Some people do, but let's
Obviously,
say
2 people used to.
But let's say that the only way that the world will ever know about Bigfoot is that he kills you.
Oh.
Are you okay with?
No, I'm not okay with dying for that.
Okay.
Like if I'm dying, it better be to like stop like if like it's like the Hitler thing. Like if you strap a bomb to my chest and I blow up Hitler, sure. What is that? You
What
make
if-
that
what if
deal,
Bigfoot-
damn good deal.
what
The
if Big-
Bigfoot deal is not a deal.
What if he's Hitler?
What if your death proves that he exists?
No.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay, I thought you were saying that Suk would know, but no one else would.
No. This is what I'm getting at is that these 2 men unfortunately don't know that. Well, they may know that Bigfoot killed him, and when they're dying, like you're saying, is this a noble death? Well, maybe you're dying from Bigfoot's however he's killing you. And he's strangling you with his hairy hands, and you're like, "This is great. At least I know I'm gonna die, but now everyone will know that Bigfoot exists. I'm the one. I'm gonna go down in the history books."
I think.
But then Bigfoot makes it look like you died of exposure.
It's a double screw.
So no one knows.
No, but-
So this is why I asked the question. He will kill you, Bigfoot. But the world will now know that Bigfoot exists, and it will be because of you.
I suppose if I was gonna die and I had to die, I guess that does leave some sort of legacy.
Hand-to-hand combat with Bigfoot.
You're the guy.
That's neat. Maybe you build a statue of me somewhere out there in the forest, like the.
Getting choked out.
Yeah. I just hope that when I
By
die,
Kind of embarrassing for a jujitsu guy like yourself.
what am I supposed to do? What do you want
Fight
me to?
him!
Yeah, jujitsu is.
You want me to Toriando a Bigfoot? I can't do that.
End him!
Put him in the figure 4.
Imagine like you square off with Bigfoot and you're like, all right, I got no choice. Go into my deep half game here, Bigfoot. I just hope that when I die, it's not that. I really hope that it's not Bigfoot. Although I suppose like Bigfoot could just hold you out there to make it look like exposure. Couldn't Bigfoot just hold you down for like 12 hours and wait for you to freeze?
It's possibly what he did here. They are saying that the 2 men, ages 59 and 37, appeared to have died due to exposure based on weather conditions and ill preparedness.
Yeah.
They were not prepared for the cold, wintry
Conditions
in the forest.
Either that or again, Bigfoot just held them. By the way, that's the sneakiest, most sinister way for Bigfoot to take someone out.
What if everyone
is to
who
just hold you down?
What if everyone who has ever died of exposure in the woods?
Bigfoot.
It was Bigfoot.
That's his. You don't know this about Sasquatches, but they don't rip you apart. They just hold you there until you freeze to death. Boy, those Bigfoots are diabolical. Yeah, the better one, as someone points out, is the drowning searching for Loch Ness. That would be the equivalent.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the equivalent of dying looking for Bigfoot would be drowning looking for the Loch Ness Monster.
Headline reads, Callum McDumbass drowns while searching the Loch Ness Monster.
Because I did go swimming in Loch Ness. Yeah, and
Did you
like,
see him?
No, I did not. I did see my big white ass in Loch Ness. It was more of a comedy sort of thing. But the idea of swimming out in that ice cold water, like, it's the same. It's that same sort of principle. Your life should be worth more than I'll bet you Bigfoot's out there.
It's true. And also hearing that they were ill prepared. I am amazed at how many people take the elements lightly.
Yes.
It's just, you said Darwin. I mean, it kind of is. I'm sorry. You should be aware of what the hell it's like in the freaking winter in the forest.
It's like the dude that goes on the desert hike and he brings like a 1 liter, like, brings like a camelback full of water and is like, well, I thought I'd be fine.
Text line says, searching for Bigfoot seems like a summer activity to me.
That's exactly.
Valid point.
It's a great point.
Maybe Bigfoots aren't that active.
Take a break.
Yeah, someone else on the text line suggesting he was probably hibernating and they were stupid for going out there.
He stole their firewood.
I would think that Bigfoot would be more active in the winter. It's hot and humid in the summer, and Bigfoot's big and hairy. And
yeah,
I have a dog that's big and hairy. You know where he doesn't want to be in the summer? Outside. Wintertime, he thrives out there. So maybe they're onto something. Well, they're not onto anything anymore.
Sad story.
Yeah.
But is it?
Well, it is. It's sad.
It is. You're right.
Tragic? We don't know.
So
sad, yes.
The search for Bigfoot continues. What is the record for car crashes at one house? We may have it next on The Fan.
This is The Fan's Window into Sports, a view into today's top stories, brought to you by Window Nation, online at windownation.com.
Well, there's a Marvel show on Disney Plus called What If, and I watch that all the time. So, I mean, when I'm by myself, yes, but I don't let that take up too much of my life and my thoughts because, all I can control is what's going on right now. The past is going to impact me, what's going on right now. I love to think about what could have happened, but, all I can do is start building for what I want now.
That's the great Greg Oden, who is back in Portland.
They gave him a really nice reception and put him up on the big screen. The crowd went nuts and sounded like I listened to the all the clips and sounds like he's in a pretty good spot. So that was cool. That was nice to see.
Window Nation, 50% off all window styles in December, plus a bonus 10% off and 0% interest for 72 months. That's 6 years. Schedule your estimate now by calling 866-90Nation or going to windownation.com.
The home of dirt and
Chubbs.
Yes. Okay.
Cannoli.
Then yes. Yeah.
Because there's a bunch of things while we were gone that I jotted down in my notes.
I mean, who doesn't like a cannoli and an eclair or any sort of delicious pastry like that? I mean, come on.
LeBron says Christmas is our day.
Everyone, the numbers would say otherwise.
Seahawks, Bears.
Yeah.
We've got a lot to discuss.
We do have a lot.
But this is in the news for December 30, 2024. What is the record for car crashes at one home? You ask.
Like, would it at one time?
One
or
home.
Just one home.
At a house. car crash into a house.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you had one of those.
I did.
Just one.
Yep.
I'm guessing if you were at a wonky angle, like maybe I'll go like half a dozen, maybe 5, 6.
Okay.
Something like that.
An SUV slammed into a Portland home on Christmas Eve, igniting a massive blaze at a property that has been the scene of nearly 30 car accidents over the last decade, according to neighbors.
Jeez.
With locals now calling for a change.
Yeah, I would say that I'm say after a baker's dozen, maybe I would have complained. We should have gotten Buck's wife on it, and she would have complained to some sort of city council and
speed cushions solve the problem.
Yeah.
Man.
Like a barrier of some sort.
Portland Fire and Rescue responded to a massive fire after an out-of-control SUV crashed into the front of a 3-story apartment building, taking out its natural gas meter. When the car struck the meter, the gas was naturally flowing from the underground line through the vehicle. And, of course, you can do the math on that.
Yeah.
Officials say the damage to the natural gas line resulted in huge flames, saying most of the damage was done to the car and the exterior walls of the apartment building.
Lord.
They say that the placement of the truck actually diverted the gas line from the building, which fortunately prevented potential worse outcome where it could have,
Hey,
you know.
look at that. You know what? That's God's intervention right there.
Yeah. No injuries reported.
God didn't stop the explosion, but he diverted the line. That's the way it works.
The property, which was once a single-family home and is now a 4-unit, 3-story apartment complex, has been incredibly unlucky when it comes to car accidents, with residents sick of the city not addressing the persistent problem. Mike Powers lives next door. He is not to be messed with. He has lived in the Sullivan's Gulch home for 30 years, and he says that he and his wife have documented 29 car accidents at this property. It looks like it's just on the, it's like one of those roundabouts, you know, over there.
I was going to say, there has to be something about the location where someone's going too fast. Like, they said, remember where Tiger rolled his SUV? They said that road is like a death trap. Like, is it the angle and then it comes up on you quick. So it's got to just be one of those where you're in a really
sharp
bad spot.
I think they say it's a sharp turn that sneaks up on people, and if you're going too fast, it sneaks up on them.
And before you know it,
and before you know it, you're in someone's living room.
Can I say that what's the rent on that? Like, shouldn't that be taken into account? They're like, yeah, this is well, it's 2-bedroom is really affordable. Yeah, there's a good chance that someone's going to come through your front door and possibly blow up your gas line.
Well, if I could give you a discount on your mortgage.
But over 10 years, 29 different cars are coming through my...
Possibly.
I'm going to say no.
It's a dangerous area.
I think I'm going to pass.
Really?
Yeah.
Just going to pay the full mortgage?
I'm going to pay the full mortgage.
What if I could give you rent for, you know, I mean, I discount that. I mean, it's like $300 a month.
Yeah.
You can live for $300 a month in here, but you have to be
I-
aware there could be a flying Honda Accord.
I do think at that point I would, but I would take some precautions. There'd be like a sandbag. I would build something.
Yeah.
Yeah, there'd be like what sort of retaining wall? I'd have to look into some city code because I'm putting up some sandbags or something. But yeah, at a certain discount, I'm putting up some barriers. But yeah, we'll do that. When we stayed out once at the, have you ever been to like the Big Island of Hawaii? There's an entire side of the island that is the only affordable place to live in all of Hawaii. But the only reason that is it's like literally in an active lava field. So all the homes have to be built up, and just at any given time you could have red hot magma just flowing towards your house. And when we went out there, we visited some people that live out there, and this was many, many years ago. And that was their whole thing, was like, yeah, well, I mean, it's cheap. Where else are you gonna live in Hawaii? And I was like, oh my God. Like, that's the sort of trade-off that you have to have. Yeah, you live in paradise, but you're on an active lava field. And the answer is no.
The whole Big Island, I was there once, and it was a long time ago. I was shocked by what it looked like, because of course it's I mean, it's just basically all volcanic rock.
It's not super.
It's just like black.
Yes.
But would you? I'll give you a home.
No.
You can have the home. It's on stilts, and every once in a while there's a river of lava running under you. But that's, you know.
Dude, it took me all of like 10 minutes of being at that house to be like, dude, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
And yet people do it.
People do it. Yeah. Well, and they were from there, and so it was like, it's our home,
right.
but it's what they could afford.
It's the
They're
land.
hoping one day to move out of the lava fields, and I was like, well, God bless you.
All right, that's in the news December 30, 2024, brought to you by the Advocates, injury attorneys at advocateslaw.com. Up next is the Hot 5 at 5, all the top sports stories of the day on The Fan.
I'm Leif, owner of Leif's Auto Collision Centers. A recent survey
There's another dude.
Primetime on 1080 The Fan.
All right, welcome back. Hope you're having a nice little Monday. It's your Sports Bros back in the saddle here. Rop and Sook. Sud indeed.
Got a big Monday night tilt tonight. Lions-Niners. Let's go.
Yeah, not really. But it's getting ready to start, and Joe Buck and Troy Aikman popped up there. Have you seen the latest controversy with Troy Aikman and Joe Buck?
What's happening now?
Well, you know how when Randy Moss was sick, and he went on his NFL show, whatever it is, ESPN or whatever, and people were commenting on his eyes, the color of his eyes.
Yes.
Well, they're doing that now with Troy Aikman.
Oh, we think Troy Aikman has
no,
some sort of liver problem?
No, he just has really red. I don't know if you've noticed this about Troy Aikman.
Oh, he has red eyes.
He has really red eyes.
The TV viewer doctors are out now, and they're like, well, it's the same thing.
Well, I don't know about the same
when
thing.
you have yellow eyes, that's jaundice. You got liver problems.
Right.
But when you have red eyes, is it possible that he just smokes a lot of weed and or has a massive drinking problem?
He's just housed.
Allergies.
I have
Gotta be
seen
allergies.
a couple photos of him, and I'm always cautious about this because, like, some of the photos I've seen, his eyes look really red.
Yeah.
And I never know, like, how easy is it now to take a photograph and just make it so your eyes are red?
No, I think it's a thing with Aikman.
Is it?
Well, I've noticed it before when he's on TV, but he's been on TV for years.
He is very skinny. Him and Joe Buck are starting to, they're kind of morphing into like Skeletor. Like neither one of them has an ounce of fat on him.
Well, by the way, Joe Buck's hair, I know he's had a lot of problems with hair plugs and everything. His hair looks good.
Well,
it's all worked
if
out.
at first you don't succeed.
Yeah.
It almost dies from it and costs you your career and
Yeah,
whatnot.
what happened with him?
He had some sort of thing where he had like an infection and like it paralyzed his vocal cords or something.
That's
He had somehow his hair transplant thing caused his voice to go.
Was it from the anesthesia?
Maybe that. I
think.
don't remember.
And then he hits a golf ball and shatters his wife's ankle. It's a
And
rough
she's
go
doing the
for him.
pregame show.
Weird things
Wait,
are happening.
what?
Yeah.
She's on the pregame show?
That's
What do you
right.
mean?
Like, I mean, she was out in the parking lot with Jason Kelsey and like doing stuff. She's
I
like,
didn't see that.
She's on that Chris Collinsworth plan where you just get to be like, hey, put my former
He felt so
cheerleader
bad
hot
for
wife.
shattering her ankle with a golf ball that he was like, hey, ESPN, we need you to put my wife on the show.
It's probably a decent little paycheck. And you throw, so you're like, hey, get out there.
yeah, she's been out there with her walking boot and everything.
But his hair looks good.
Yeah.
Is that? I don't know if it's a toupee or just
No, he's
the
got
hair
plugs. Yeah,
but
they look good. Hey,
good.
they've come a long way in those things.
all right. Well, I don't know what's going on with Troy, but rest
Well,
in peace.
Troy probably just likes to have a good time.
Or it's just like Buck said, it's just some allergies.
Or he's crushing just 12-pack after 12-pack of that 8 Elite Lager that he's selling.
Yeah, he does.
He's
He
got the like the neutral
own
it's a
beer.
dad
it's
beer
a
thing
beer
going
for
on.
everybody. It's not Bud Gay, and it's not I don't know what the super right wing beer is. It was there was some guy that like made MAGA beer or something, and so Troy Aikman's putting something
Yeah,
right
like
in the middle of
non-woke
it.
beer or something.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Has anyone ever felt the need to drink a neutral beer?
Whole bunch of snowflakes.
You ever been in the beer aisle and been like, wait a minute, my political leanings aren't going to allow me to buy any of these. Wait, Troy Aikman beer, yes. Let's go with this.
coming up, what one Ohio State player is warning Oregon against, and we'll get to some more Rose Bowl talk. And Club 1080, what is astroturfing? Because I have questions. I
have questions
was
too.
Well, we were at the holidays and stuff. You spend time with family.
Yes.
And
Or not.
Yeah, some people don't, but we did.
Yes.
And with the kids, which I always find fun. I think it's fun to have the kids around because they get you all
They bring
caught up on
they
all
bring
the
a youthful energy.
yes that would otherwise just be me and my wife in separate bedrooms watching TV. But
Hey, the new season of Shrinking is fantastic.
they were telling me about astroturfing and this whole situation with Blake Lively, and I still don't understand it.
Oh,
Do you know what's going on?
I
with
don't.
that whole thing.
I'm not familiar with.
I
the
just saw
astroturfing.
she and some other people are canceling a dude, like a
It's
producer
a
or something
thi-
like that.
There's a whole thing.
I don't
going
know
on.
anything about it. I've just seen the
Astroturfing?
headlines.
I've got questions.
It's
All right.
Yeah, it's a thing.
All right.
That'll be in the club 6 to 7 right now. The hot 5 at 5.
Hot topics, hot opinions,
Oh, golly, I'm hot today.
and hot air. It's time for the Hot 5 at 5.
That's hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 on Primetime with Isaac and Sue.
No, I mean it. That's very hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 with Isaac and Sue. Brought to you on The Fan by Victorico's Mexican Food. Discover Victorico's new savory menu items. Order in-store, online, or get it delivered straight to your door at victoricos.com. Number 5.
Well, it is being reported that 6 former Florida State basketball players are suing their old coach, Leonard Hamilton, for not paying promised NIL money.
I will tell you right now that nothing in the NIL world shocks me anymore. Absolutely nothing.
Well, they say he told them each that they would get $250,000 from his business partners, but he never followed through. It got so bad there that the players were going to boycott a game against Duke in February, but they played after Hamilton promised the money, but he still never paid them.
I do remember that story about them having a protest, and now they're suing him. So, and
they're suing him.
They're
Like-
suing
like
him.
not the collective, not
they're
the
suing
school.
him. And so, they're going to do discovery, and they're going to go into the cell phone. And I mean, again, NIL is crazy, and I'm glad that guys are getting paid, and I'm glad that they have some more freedom. But my God, we got to come up with some structure on this pronto. See, Jim Mora was threatening people over this too.
Yeah, he's gonna kick your ass.
Oh, we're scared of UConn now.
He says, "Why don't you take your butt out of here?"
Jim Mora's threatening other schools for tampering in their NIL.
He's such a red ass.
He went all Shooter McGavin.
We'll protect this program.
Retread City, Rex Ryan and Ron Rivera both expected to interview for the vacant Jets head coaching job.
That may be the worst organization in sports. It just the Jets are an absolute sham of an organization, and their owner is a joke. Although he may be leaving soon to go work with the Trump administration.
It's got to be in the A's, right? It's the A's.
Did you see their president just resigned effective end of the year?
The A's have had more success than the Jets over the last 15
come on,
years.
The worst organization in sports. It's probably the A's.
They do have possums in their.
I mean, their situation is laughable.
And they didn't even try to keep their team.
Right. They didn't even care.
But I guess the A's have a reason to suck. The Jets don't.
What is the A's reason for sucking?
Well, they have no money. And again,
teams don't have money.
They have possums in their broadcast booth. The Jets are they're in New York. What are you doing? What are the freaking Jets doing?
What if they hire Rex Ryan again?
Again, perfect.
With his white teeth.
Perfect. Do it. Go get him.
Ducks are in L.A. for the Rose Bowl. Tosh Lapoy revealing today Oregon is looking into a fifth-year waiver for linebacker Bryce Betcher. If approved, he would play again next season.
Well, did he... He wasn't a JC kid. What is their waiver there?
It didn't say.
I don't know.
Because you saw while we were gone...
yeah.
The JUCO thing?
The JUCO thing. So
and worms.
Yeah, if you were a JUCO kid, you get a year back.
And so one player on Oregon that will be looking at that is Jamari Caldwell, the defensive tackle.
Yeah.
He may come back if he can get his JUCO year wiped away.
But as far as I know, Betcher just walked on. I don't know what...
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe he's going to be on...
It may be related to baseball, that he wasn't playing football and only baseball, so he feels he should have another football year available. I don't know.
I just know these kids now, and Betcher...
Kids these days.
Well, he's going to have an opportunity to make a career. I'm not sure which one, not necessarily a star in either one, but he's a prospect. But now with these NILs, man, you're going to get kids that are going to be hanging around. There's real money to be made in this world.
People are saying if he took the signing with the Astros, he'd get slotted to make like $150,000
guaranteed.
Make
more than that.
He'd make $500,000 coming back to Eugene with NIL and other stuff.
And I've seen everything in the NFL. I've seen everything from like fourth round to free agent. So, I mean, maybe this is a better financial decision to hang around.
One bowl game today in Nashville, the Music City Bowl, was won by Missouri, who stormed back from a 10-point deficit to beat Iowa 27-24. The Big Ten is still 2-1 in bowls against the SEC, with Ohio State murdering Tennessee, and USC beat Texas A&M. Still two more matchups of the two big boy leagues. Both of those games are tomorrow. Michigan playing Alabama, and Illinois will take on South Carolina.
But remember, it only matters when the leagues that we don't like win bowl games. That's when everyone
wins. The leagues that we don't like don't really win bowl games. The ACC's like 0-10.
I think they're 1-9.
Oh, they won a game?
Their only win
Who
is
won?
against the practice squad of Washington State.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Syracuse.
And they tried to lose.
They tried. Washington State had like 7 players, and Washington State gave them a hell of a run.
And by the way, did you see Washington State's new sensation quarterback Zevi Eckhouse in the transfer portal?
Oh my God.
Dude, we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but I've said this for years, that Dickert was a fraud and all that crap he talked. Yeah. He was just waiting for the first ship to come and get him out of Pullman.
And it was Wake Forest.
And he bailed, and F that guy. And unfortunately, the same thing that happened to Oregon State happened to Washington State.
They just made a good hire. They got the South Dakota
guy, yeah.
Tonight in sports, Blazers host the Sixers. Everybody's questionable, whatever. Monday Night Football means absolutely nothing, even though it looked marquee at the start of the season. The Lions are visiting the Niners. It's a lost season for San Francisco. Detroit can't do anything tonight to improve its chances of nabbing the number 1 overall seed in the NFC. That will come down to a showdown with Minnesota next week, where the winner gets the 1 seed and the loser falls to the 5 and will have to go on the road in the playoffs.
And I speak for Lion fans everywhere when I hope that Dan Campbell was just joking when he said that everyone will play and that he's not sitting anyone.
He seems serious.
Please, Dan.
Has the line moved at all?
Last I saw was 4.
What is... Dan,
wait, so people are betting Detroit?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's weird.
People think the Niners have quit.
Yes. Well,
if the Lions don't play
the Lions should quit.
The Lions should quit. And yet Dan Campbell seems to have insinuated that
We got to avenge our playoff loss.
Oh my gosh. Don't do it, Dan. Don't do it. The game means nothing to you. Next week means everything. And let me also point out that no team, including the Niners, has been as injured as the Detroit Lions. Why?
The Hot 5-5 is brought to you by Victor Rico's Mexican Food, a hit with the whole family. Order in-store, online, or delivered to your door at victorricos.com. When you think of flavor, think of Victor Rico's. All right, one Ohio State player is already warning Oregon about something. We'll get into that in the granddaddy of them all next on The Fan.
What?
Oregon has a playoff foe.
Ohio State books a date in the Rose Bowl. They're getting a rematch against number 1 Oregon.
Are the Ducks ready for a string of tough matchups?
I think when it comes to complete balance on offense, being able to play defense at a high level, like all the things that you need to be able to do to win a title game, I think they're the 2 best teams in the country, and I think whoever wins that game will beat whoever comes out of the other side of the ball.
Talk about it and get the inside story on the home of Oregon Ducks football, 1080.
They went and won the damn Big Ten.
The Fan.
Now, here's a quick look at Portland traffic.
Portland, holiday light, but I'm still seeing delays on eastbound 26 from the Oregon Zoo, getting onto I-405 and northbound.
All right, the granddaddy of them all is on The Fan Wednesday, 2 o'clock, which they always kick it at 2 because they want that beautiful sunset shot there.
Yep.
The Rose Bowl. If you haven't been to the Rose Bowl, we've said this many times, but you've got to get to one because it really is magical. I know they just talk about it on TV, and you're like, oh, how good could it be? The stadium's kind of old, isn't it? Dude, it is. I don't know what it is about that place.
It's one of those things that TV can't do justice to. There's just an aura.
incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Now, don't go see a game when UCLA is playing.
I've done that. It sucks.
Don't do that. But actually go see a Rose Bowl. Even if your team's not playing in it, you should go.
I mean, I think that the fact that Ohio State and Oregon are playing in the playoff is awesome.
Yeah.
Whether that's the Fiesta Bowl or the Peach Bowl, whatever bowl it is, I think it's extra special that these two teams are playing in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got the tie-in with Chip Kelly. Remember, Chip Kelly took Oregon to the Rose Bowl against Ohio State back when he first started with Oregon, and he's now the offensive coordinator there. This is as good as it gets.
Pac-12, Big Ten matchup, traditional and all that good stuff. I mean,
it's just as good as it gets.
And you can make the argument, and I think it's a pretty good one, that these are the best two teams in the country. And they already got done playing earlier this year. I still think it was the best game of the year in college football. So why not do it again?
Yeah, I think it's weird about Ohio State that you said this earlier, and I think it's right, that Ohio State has just had way more ups and downs this year.
Yeah.
Whereas Oregon's just been more steady. But the reality is, when you zoom out, even all the way back to before the first meeting, many people, and I think many people who know a lot about football are still saying that Ohio State is the best team.
Yeah.
Because they're the most talented team. Now, they've had a weird year. They've lost a couple offensive linemen, and there's the Ryan Day factor, and the Michigan
making laws about flag planting.
Yeah, the Michigan game was odd. But the reality is, when you zoom out, Ohio State is number one in many people's power ratings.
Yes.
Like, you are playing the best team in college football again. Now, it should give you, if you're an Oregon fan, you should feel good because you've already beat them once. You played them. You got their best shot, and you beat them. But totally different scenario. It's a very different team. They've reworked their defense. They've changed their offensive line. They looked really good last week. They played more recently than you. You've been off for 24 days. Like, there's a lot of factors in this game that make it just kind of a wonky spot.
Yeah, you're almost. I mean, the whole adage of it's hard to beat a team twice. First off, that's not true. There's no data to back that up whatsoever. But I will say, if you're Oregon, I do think that Ohio State maybe has a bit of an advantage in that I think Ohio State got more exposed than Oregon did in that first game. I'm not certain what Oregon is looking at and saying, or I guess let's flip that. I don't know exactly any sort of major shift that Oregon has to do to be prepared for Ohio State. Ohio State, after that Oregon game, literally had to change the way they play defense. Like, they went into this year thinking our defense is the cock of the walk. We got the best secondary in the country. We got this great D-line. We don't have to do anything fancy. We're just going to line up. We're going to play man coverage on the outside, not let you run the ball on us, and our front four is going to get pressure. And Oregon blew them off the field. Not in the game, but their offense did whatever they wanted. You mentioned, was it 10 yards a completion in that game?
Yeah, they averaged 10 yards per pass.
Evan Stewart absolutely ate the lunch of supposedly one of the best corners in college football. They did not sack Dylan Gabriel in that game. In fact, when you did get pressure on him, he still beat you with your legs. And Ohio State had to go back and fundamentally change a lot of what they did. And after the some of the Penn State and the Michigan stuff, they had to kind of change the way they're running the offense because Will Howard, I think they got scared that they didn't trust Will Howard. Oregon has not had any of that. Oregon has just played Oregon football all year long. They've been the more consistent one. But as you stated, if Ohio State makes those adjustments and brings their A game, yes, there is a case to be made that is indeed the best team in college football. And so from that standpoint, maybe there is something to the playing Oregon a second time for Ohio State is an advantage for them because they got to learn that they do have some holes in their armor that need to be patched up.
Yeah.
And it's hard to make those adjustments in game against Oregon. It's a lot easier to make them, obviously over the last couple months and go back and get another crack at it.
Well, the whole beating a team twice thing, it really isn't hard because typically what happens is the better team wins.
Yeah.
However, you would have to go do research on this. Like both of these two meetings with Ohio State, those point spreads been within a field goal, right?
Sure.
Either way, I think Oregon was a 3-point underdog the first time, and they're a 2-point underdog right now.
Yeah.
So, the case maybe could be made if you could go back and look at some more evenly matched teams, that maybe when you are as evenly matched as these two teams are, perhaps it is harder to beat that team twice. I don't know that. I don't know if the numbers bear that out, but they certainly don't bear it out overall because typically, again, the better team there's a reason why they won the first game. They usually win the second one.
But we don't really know who the better team is because I do think that these teams
That's
are
right.
even, like
they're so even that that whole adage is kind of it's just kind of stupid.
Like Oregon playing Boise State, like that was a close game, but we know Oregon is significantly better than Boise State.
Right.
This
so
is
if they So if they played again, it'd be like, oh, the narrative would be, oh, it's going to be so hard to beat Boise. They've already beat them. No, they're probably going to beat them by more.
Yeah, Oregon's better. But in this game, it all goes out the window. And just like the first one came down to a handful of plays, right? The pass interference call at the end of the game obviously is the biggest one, right? Will Howard needed one more second to get down, and Ohio State gets a chance to kick a field goal to win the game. But then you could say that the interception at the beginning of the game should have been an interception. That wasn't. Maybe that changed everything. Because Ohio State went down and scored. That's a 14-point swing potentially. So there's all sorts of these little plays, and I think that ultimately is what this is going to be again. Is there's just I don't think either squad runs away from the other one. I think these are just absolutely talent-laden teams. I think Ohio State overall is a more talented team. I think Oregon has a significant advantage at quarterback. I think they have an advantage on the coaching side of the ball. It's not it is a neutral site game, but it's not in a hostile environment for Oregon, right? You're not having to make a big road trip. Harder for Ohio State to come out. So there's just all these sorts of little different things that you can look at to point to, just like we did in the first one, which is why it was the game of the year. And I expect this one, I think this might be for the national championship. I think the winner of this game, especially if you look good doing it, why wouldn't I say that the winner of this game goes on and wins a national championship? That's why I said the only thing about it is I wish it was further on in the playoff. And I'm not one of these guys that's going to bitch and moan about Oregon's path, but it does kind of stink that these teams have to play now as opposed to maybe a little further down the road, because I just get the feeling that these are the two best teams.
Well, Oregon has the better coach, better offense, and better special teams.
Yeah.
Ohio State has the better defense, and they have a filthy X factor at wide receiver.
Yeah.
And I mean filthy. Yeah. And I think that, and I'm talking about Smith, games like this often do come down to the studs and the stars, which is why you're pointing to Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah. That's why I'm picking Oregon.
But I also think Will Howard, Will Howard's been pretty damn good.
Yeah, when he shows up.
He was damn good in the first meeting.
Yep.
And he was really good last week
Tennessee.
when they beat Tennessee. So that'll be interesting. I mean, he's going to have to prove it.
Well, it's so weird against Michigan. I swear that they went in that Michigan game, and I don't know if it was a lack of trust with Will Howard or if they just thought that they're going to play it close to the vest and try to prove something by being more physical than Michigan. But it's like they took the ball out of his hands, and it was so weird because if you remember in the Oregon game, they came out throwing.
Yeah.
And they trusted Will Howard, and I think you saw that same sort of aggressiveness against Tennessee, and I do expect Ohio State to come out and be way more aggressive than what we've seen Ohio State in the second half. They're going to come out and they're going to throw some different looks at Oregon. And then you can also do the fun factor of is there a rust thing with Oregon from not having played, whereas Ohio State is sharp coming off of Tennessee, or is Oregon going to be well rested with extra time to get ready for Ohio State?
See, I originally thought that factor favored Oregon. You get 24 days. You don't have to play. The other team does have to play.
Yeah.
You can focus on them the whole time.
Because they were scouting both sides.
24 days is a long time. I mean, that's a scheme advantage and a rest advantage
Yep.
because you are still practicing. The key is you keep your edge because you're still practicing. But now I'm second guessing that as like not a great factor in favor of Oregon because I just feel like Ohio State just came out, torched Tennessee, and now they feel like they're hot and rolling and ready. And Oregon's going to have to kind of get back up. And is there a rust factor? I don't know about that. I don't know.
You have to say Ohio State has more momentum right now at a standstill coming into this game.
Because they went into that game against Tennessee, and the entire world, like 35,000 people from Tennessee came up and invaded your stadium. There's talk of, does Ryan Day get fired? The athletic director had to come out and be like, dude, the guy's job is safe. There was all this talk around the program, and it felt like if you were ever going to get Ohio State being vulnerable, that's it. And it sure feels like you want a shot of confidence in the arm. Take a Tennessee team and you just absolutely dog walk them.
And their defense was good.
And
Tennessee's
you're right.
defense is good.
And so if you're Ohio State, you probably are.
So they're feeling good.
You're feeling pretty good
and
about
they've
yourself.
got the revenge factor. So all of a sudden, this looks like, ooh, catching Ohio State at a bad time. But I have to think that 24 days with coaches as good and smart as Will Stein
come up
and
with some
Dan Lanning, they're
wrinkles.
going to come up with all kinds of good stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a scheme advantage for sure,
I
because
would think
Ohio
so.
State does not know what to prepare for. I mean, of course, they played him once. I just mean, I could see
There should be
Lanning.
some
Lanning is such a workhorse
Yes.
that I could see them. I mean, you can't completely revamp everything you do, but I can see them throwing a lot of stuff at Ohio State that Ohio State's it's gonna take them a quarter or maybe even a half to adjust to.
Yeah, there's going to be some new wrinkles. And then on the other side, I would expect, if you look at the way Ohio State played defense after that Oregon game, they literally changed a lot of what they did. They were running very base vanilla defenses at the beginning of the year, and Oregon torched them on it, and Ohio State had to go back to the drawing board. And you are going to see more exotic pressures. You're going to see some more coverage looks. You're certainly not going to see Evan. I promise you, Evan Stewart will not be one-on-one in this game ever.
So that brings me to what I wanted to get to. What I was saying is I feel like games like this often do come down to the star players, and oftentimes they are the skill players, although it could be that on Thursday we're talking about that, I forget his name, but the guy, it was either linebacker or the defensive end for Ohio State, had a huge game against Tennessee. I forget his name, but maybe we'll be talking about him on Thursday. But something tells me on Thursday we'll be talking about a Dylan Gabriel, a Will Howard, or maybe one of these wide receivers. Oregon has the quarterback. Ohio State has the running backs. Now, now, not a lot is being talked about them because Jeremiah Smith and the wide receivers are so good at Ohio State. Those
Judkins
running
and Henderson.
Those running backs at Ohio State are legit.
Yep.
So can't forget about them. But I think the wide receiver thing, something tells me on Thursday, because I've been touting the Oregon wide receivers all year. Like Oregon's wide receivers are so tough because it's a deep group. It's just so hard to cover all of them. They don't have a Jeremiah Smith per se, who is just a bona fide star.
They got three really good ones.
But Oregon does, yeah. And then you add in Ferguson, and I mean, like
the weapons are
they're really tough to cover. Something tells me that on Thursday we're going to be talking about one of those pass catchers.
Yeah.
It might be Smith, but what I wanted to get to, because Smith is he is such a tough cover.
Yeah.
And I didn't look
at next line in the great Ohio State receivers.
I meant to go back and look at what he did in the first game. I know he had a good game, but it wasn't a memorable good game because they lost.
Yeah.
But that's a guy that could flat out win the game for Ohio State. When you're talking about two close teams.
9 catches, 100 yards, had the touchdown, 11 yards a catch, and he had the pass interference call at the end of the game, which is what.
And he said he's still mad about that.
So he had a very good game, but it's also not the most memorable game. He's one of those that we could be talking about on Thursday. Like, dude, studs just make plays in big moments, and that could be one of them.
And it may just be again, someone that made a big defensive stop, because Smith and Mbuka, both 9 catches, 10 catches, 100 yards, 93 yards, each had a touchdown. On the other side, Evan Stewart, 7 catches, 149. Tez Johnson, 7 catches, 75. Ferguson had 4 for 62. I mean, both offenses kind of had their way.
And I think it's going to be the same thing.
It's going to be hard.
I really do.
I know both of these defenses are being touted, but I think we've learned, look, Oregon's defense is good. It's not great. And we can sit here and laud the Ohio State defense from a number standpoint. It is. But Oregon did what they wanted to against them in that first matchup. And I know they've made adjustments, and they certainly have looked a lot better since. And you mentioned they have not given up a passing touchdown since Oregon. But let's also not act like the passing offenses that they've played have been the greatest offenses on earth. This is a much tougher look than anything they will have seen since they played
But if
Oregon.
I boil this game down to one thing that gives me pause, which I was saying earlier, that I'm leaning towards betting Ohio State here. It's that I think their defense can be a lot better in this game than it was the first game. No. I am not certain Oregon's can. Yeah. And I think that might be the difference. Now, all of that leads to one thing we'll get to next, which is what Jeremiah Smith said. He is the freshman receiver at Ohio State. He has put Oregon on notice.
I love this.
He has a warning to Oregon because they're all doing interviews now. They're all down in L.A. So his comments.
There's some bulletin board material out there from all these games.
Well, Arizona State for sure.
Yeah, Scadaboo's running that mouth a little bit too.
Levitt said that he's going to prove that he's better than Quinn Ewers.
Can we talk about how if Arizona State were a favorite, if Levitt and Scadaboo and all those guys were on like Georgia or Tennessee,
if they weren't a plucky underdog,
Texas, you would hate them, especially Scadaboo.
Yes.
Anyway, what Jeremiah Smith said, why he is warning the Ducks. Next, here's Buck.
Now, from From the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Ryan Buckley with this Sports Center update. First on the Fan, Week 17 in the NFL wraps up with Monday Night Football in the Bay Area as the Lions visit the 49ers. That one is underway. The 49ers scored a touchdown on their first drive. Brock Purdy to Ricky Pearsall. And the Lions are now in the red zone on their first drive, 5:22 to play in the first quarter. Only one college bowl game today in Nashville, the Music City Bowl, as Iowa took on 19th-ranked Missouri. Mizzou coming back from a 10-point second-half deficit to win 27-24, and the Blazers looking for their third straight win of their homestand tonight when they welcome the Philadelphia 76ers. Matisse Thybulle is out. So is Jeremy Grant. He has a face contusion, but Tumani Kamara will give it a go. It's a game-time decision on Philly's side for Joel Embiid, Kyle Lowry, Eric Gordon, and Andre Drummond. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Ryan Buckley at the 1080 The Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Tired of getting dinged by subscriptions? We won't send you a bill. Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan. It's time for Who's Leading the Charge. A look under the hood at the coaches, players, and teams getting it done. Brought to you by Battery Exchange.
Zacchaeus comes in motion. Daniels takes the snap, looks left, throws left, pass is caught. Caught. Touchdown, Commanders. Zach Ertz and Jaden Daniels will take Washington into the postseason for the first time since 2020.
Nice little grab by Zach Ertz there.
Absolutely.
In overtime.
And Jaden Daniels, I mean, just that whole story in Washington, he's amazing. He is amazing. And, you know, as he evolves as a pocket quarterback, it's going to get better and better. But dude, his legs, he is an ultimate weapon.
Oh, and both teams should possess the ball in overtime.
Yeah.
I hate NFL overtime.
One and done.
Who's Leading the Charge? Powered by Battery Exchange. Mention code BXT10 at checkout for 10% off your entire purchase this month online at batteryexchange.com.
Hey, it's Dusty. Victor Rico's just dropped new menu items. Restaurant quality, made
So the players are all down at the Rose Bowl. Dusty Hera is down at the Rose Bowl.
Yeah. Is Dusty making headlines too? Is he making bold claims?
Gotta be careful down in LA. You and I have been down there a few times.
Yeah, you can get into some stuff.
And yeah, there's fun to be there's fun to be had.
At
any
any
rate.
believe we were told once that we were the only people ever to take a media shuttle to a certain
Well,
location.
that was Dallas.
Was that Dallas? I thought that was
in
LA.
Yeah, no, that was in Dallas. But we did go to a strip club in LA, and I was thoroughly pissed off that they don't get naked.
There's no booze.
Oh, that's
What
the whole
is
state of
the
California,
point?
man. It's the worst.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, the rule is if there's booze, the
Yes.
the undergarments don't come off.
That is-
But you can go to a place where everything comes off and
That's
you
right.
can't drink there.
That's right.
Rob was disgusted.
And we went to one of those too.
I ordered a Sprite for $12.
Yeah, $12 Sprite. I gave her a 20. Thanks. Unbelievable.
Glad we could remove that lingerie layer.
Good times.
Yeah, well, Jeremiah. So the players are all doing interviews, and Jeremiah Smith, the freshman receiver for Ohio State, he put Oregon on notice. It says here on ESPN.com today.
Can't wait.
He said, "I'm just laughing in my head. Why are y'all really playing man on man against us, or against me, I should say? And when we see man coverage against any of our receivers, we're going to take a shot down the field. So I'm just letting everyone know right now that if you play man Wednesday, we're taking a shot."
Okay, can I also point out that you played man against Oregon the first time you played, and Oregon threw over the head of supposed your best and arguably the best corner in the country. You threw over his head multiple times to the tune of 7 catches for Evan Stewart for 145. So, okay, man coverage. It's probably not a great idea for either team to play man coverage. I think we've all established that. In fact, me and Buck were talking, like, I'm not kidding when I tell you there was a fundamental shift. Oregon, or after the Oregon game, Ohio State went from a one high safety look to they literally had a team meeting and
They
were
had
like,
a philosophical meeting with Jim Knowles, their DC, and said, this doesn't work. We
No.
need to do something different. And ever since then, they've
Hey,
been nails in the
Credit to
secondary.
them for doing that.
yeah, so they've moved to 2 high safety look. They went from almost an exclusive 4-man front to a lot of different odd mans because they're trying to. There was this attitude of we can play man and we can rush 4 straight up in a 4-3 against anyone.
Just lean on the personnel. They're better.
Yeah, and it was hilarious that this team went into the year thinking that, and that we were like this cock of the walk, and you got bitch slapped. And granted, it was a close game, but Oregon's offense did whatever they wanted. So you can take shots at Oregon all you want, but only one team had to revamp their entire defensive philosophy. So easy there, Smith. Jeremiah Smith is a phenomenal. He's a freshman. He's arguably already the best receiver in college football.
Yeah, he's
but
crazy.
You got to stop with
players.
calling people out because you can do the same thing on the other side.
He then says they're going to see a completely different player than the last time. He, as you mentioned, caught 9 passes for 100 yards and a tutty in the first one. He said, even receivers coach Brian Hartline told me the other day that I'm a whole different player from the first time we played Oregon until now.
And that makes sense.
It started with understanding the game plan and knowing what the defense is trying to do.
Well, like anytime you deal with a rookie in the NFL or a freshman in college football, by the time you get into week 8, 9, 10, yeah, you're not a freshman anymore. I'm sure that is a much different player than what you've seen. And yes, he really is a very, very good player. But I would make the argument that the run game may end up being bigger in this because I think both teams are going to come out and play a conservative 2-high approach and force the other team to run the ball. Because I think both teams are probably a little bit scared of giving up big plays in the passing game. So I would expect both teams to kind of, like in a boxing match, I think both teams are going to try to force the other to make them bring a safety down. I really do. I think you're going to come out and see some conservative NFL style, 2 high, keep everything in front. And the way to get a team out of that is to just run it down your throat. And if either side just starts running for 6 yards a pop, one of those safeties is going to have to start creeping down. You're going to have to start bringing some blitzes, and there you're going to get some shots over the top. And so early on, I expect run games and a lot of the quick little out bubble screen type stuff where you're just getting the ball out on the perimeter, kind of an extension of your run game and trying to wear out the other's defense. And then as the game goes on, I think you'll see some more kind of different schemes and some curveballs. But I think it's going to be a feeling out process early on with these two teams.
Well, I'm excited. Tomorrow on our show, you should tune in tomorrow. We'll be here tomorrow. We will talk more about it, but also get into the other college football playoff games.
One of which starts tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll get into the Penn
Boise.
State, Boise State game. Also, Arizona State. They're playing Texas and then Georgia, Notre Dame.
Yeah. I'll tell
Great
you what,
matchup.
if Boise State gets run, and some people think that's going to happen, the narrative is going to be so nauseating because of the,
Well, don't listen to the narrative.
I know. I hope we get a good game, but, Boise may be in over their head on this one.
So let's play ketchup cannoli coming up next. And I mean ketchup, not as in tomato.
Yeah, let's just catch up
paste.
on what we missed.
We're
It's
going
been
to
a while.
catch up on. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in the notes here from things that we missed while we were away. We'll do that next on The Fan.
It's time for a Ducks Report, the inside story on Oregon athletics. Brought to you by Mods PDX. The future of building is here.
Yeah, I think that's the double-edged sword, right? What do you want to do that's new and different? And then what do you want to do that really leans into your team's strengths? So they'll be doing the same thing on their side, which I think is, kind of an equalizer from that standpoint. But this is a great team that we're going to go play, and I think that's what you want in moments like this.
Hey, Dan Lanning doesn't sound sick.
No, is this before? Or...
So I guess the other clip was from his last media availability for the Eugene media before they left, and now this is them.
We have a clear focus of what we're trying to accomplish. And,
I mean, come on.
like I've said before, that everybody has an assignment.
better.
Everybody has a
He's
job.
made
They
the
gotta do their
decision.
job.
He made the choice.
He made the choice.
He's
Not
no
to-
longer
Not to be sick anymore. Smart guy.
Mods PDX, that's right. The future of building is here.
If you're considering new construction and want it done right and fast by a team that's focused on innovation, collaboration, and creativity, you want Mods PDX. At Mods PDX, we craft beautiful, sustainable, energy-efficient buildings of the highest quality. Our modular approach means your project can be completed faster than traditional construction, and our team of uniquely qualified architectural and trade professionals have the expertise and experience to make your vision a reality.
On 1080 The Fan.
All right, let's catch up on some stuff we missed before we get to the club. What did everyone think of the Netflix NFL casts? Did you guys like those?
Yeah, the only thing is I understand that it's for an audience that doesn't watch the NFL, but it is always strange when they do they explain the game of football. Like, you didn't see any of that, like during the breaks, like Drew Brees.
No.
Yeah, they were doing
I
like
missed it.
They were doing like they have 4 downs to make a first down. Yeah, they were doing
really?
some, yeah.
I missed all that.
You missed some of that? Yeah, it just was on in the background when we were kind of just milling around doing Christmas. And yeah, some of that was because, obviously that's a broad audience. And they do that a lot of times. They do it on what's like the Netflix shows. When they do like the quarterback show and that, like they did it on the golf series. They get a very rudimentary, if you've never really watched before, this is what they're trying to accomplish. So outside of that, I thought the Netflix games were fine.
Yeah. I thought they were fine too.
It was a huge audience, by the way.
Yeah, they said that the number, well, that's what I was getting at. LeBron came out and said, Christmas is our day.
No, it's not.
Because
not anymore.
The ratings for the NBA on Christmas were actually really good.
Yeah, it was, and it's been a bad year for them, but it was a nice bump for them on Christmas.
They were averaging, I don't know about average, but it was like 5 or 6 million, which is really good for them.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the NFL was at like 30 million.
Yeah. It just
like
it was
that.
an enormous audience.
But there could be room for both, though. I mean, when you think of it,
sure.
Like LeBron's, I mean, would they have 4 games? I think NBA games,
something like that.
People watched them,
Yeah.
so and people also watched the NFL. Both had great ratings, so there could be room for both.
But
I thought
the NFL. It's come on, LeBron. No offense, but I mean, I understand you got to stand up for your guys, but the NFL doesn't even. They don't even consider you like you're not a threat. You're like a speck on the NFL shoe.
I thought that Mina Kimes had a moment.
I love Mina Kimes.
Well, I do too, but I think for a lot of people, it was the first indoctrination into who Mina Kimes is, because they put her on the NFL
panel,
the pre and post and halftime show team.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought she ran circles around RG3 and Manti Te'o. She was the best one of the 3, and I thought that made her look really, really good.
That seemed to be a consensus online. A lot of people thought she
was
outshone
really
them.
good.
For every knuckle-dragging moron that thinks that you have to have a penis or have played to explain football, I'd also like to point out that Michael Irvin was a really good football player and has a penis and might be the worst analyst I've ever seen in the history of football. And Mina Kimes is a woman, and despite never having played and not having a penis, Mina Kimes will talk circles around strategy, numbers, schematics.
Well, that's what I thought.
So many people,
and you and I knew that. I mean, we knew she was legit, but I think this was the first time a lot of people saw her. And what I thought was great about her on there is she didn't try too hard. She just. The 2 other guys were trying hard.
Yeah.
Like RG3 was trying to crack jokes and be funny and be a personality, and Te'o was just whatever. But all she did was sit over there and spit
knows her stuff,
football knowledge. It was really cool,
and I do love that about her.
Yes.
And I'm glad that she got an audience there. And I don't, not that she needs it, but it was nice that she got her day in the sun for people to be like, dude, that's one of the best analysts in the biz.
Because unfortunately, it still is a thing with all the Neanderthal knuckle draggers out there. And if you, like you said, if you still think that, go watch her. Dude.
Yeah.
She'll own you.
Yes.
Also, a nice little surprise I saw on the Netflix cast. They were advertising Squid Game 2.
Yeah.
And I tuned into Squid Game 2, or I went to go stream it, and it's the Korean version. Did you see that?
Oh no, I have not seen it yet.
Yeah, I started it, but I was like, "Is this?"
It's all Korean. I mean,
well, I thought the first one was done. I mean, I know it's from Korea, but I thought the first one was done like this one was subtitled.
The first one was too.
It was?
Yeah.
Am I crazy?
I think you can watch it in English.
You had the option with the first one to watch it in Korean with
You know what?
subtitles, to watch
Yes.
it English
Okay.
dubbed,
You're
or like,
right.
they,
You're
they
right.
gave you multiple options.
You're
to do
right.
it.
You're right. You're right. I had forgotten that. I was.
So we
Of
watched.
course,
it,
I was
we-
sick as hell. So
we watched it with subtitles, the first one. But I do think on a lot of those,
You're right.
they do give you the choice, and then you just get the bad dubbed. It's like the old Godzilla movies.
Yeah, and I saw that. And I had totally forgotten the first one was like that. You're
Mhm.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway,
So
it's on.
Was it any good?
So far, so good. Yeah, dude, Squid Game's great.
Yeah. The thing that gave me
I only
pause-
watched one, but
I'm skeptical because the first one was really good, and the creator of Squid Games said he didn't want to do it,
Yeah.
but they gave him so much money, he was like, okay. And when the creator's like, no, this was a one-off thing, like I didn't make this to be a sequel, and then is like, fine, if you give me enough money. That's how Yellowstone ends like that. Just
yeah,
it scares me.
well, you just have faith in the guy that he
Okay.
put something good out there.
Yeah.
but I only watched one episode.
Yeah, because they had the Squid Game guards at the game at one of
Yeah.
the games. I forget which one it was. Might have been the Kansas City game, but they had all the Squid Game guys in the little pink outfits and the PlayStation helmets that they were in. They were in the crowd, and so there's some synergy there between Squid Games and the NFL.
Did anybody else?
And that's why they dumbed down the broadcast like in between. It's for the people that are tuning in on Christmas and like their wives and kids are there that are like, oh, it's the Squid Game guys. What the hell's going on in the football game? And then they they bring it down a level.
Did anybody else catch the I'm sure not new betting angle for Christmas to bet against home teams? Anybody else? Because if I'm talking about it, I'm sure it's already been.
I've heard of that before more
Have
in
you?
the NBA because
because
the
the-
NBA
Well,
was
all of the home teams lost because I think all of them. You might double check me, but I think all 4 NBA home teams lost, or if not, didn't cover. And then the 2 home teams in the NFL lost because yes, the idea is that they're at home.
Distraction.
That means that their family, because the other teams being on the road, they're probably not with family.
But the other one's got all the family in and all the
So playing a game on Christmas is a pain in the ass because you know it's
kinda-
Christmas.
Yeah, it's a smart thing. To bet again. Now I've never done the home team. I've had to practice in the NFL at home, and yes, it is. It's tough. It's tough to because you can say all you want to be all Dan Lanning and be focused in. Yeah, good luck telling grown men and their wives and kids that they're
exactly.
It's
You're getting ready for Christmas. Your
Yeah.
wife needs you there for the kid.
Yeah,
you know,
even if
it's-
you're committed to
Yeah.
everything you're supposed to be doing, there's no way you're less distracted at home than you would be on the road.
So put that in your hip pocket for next year. Although I'm sure Vegas,
they've adjusted.
builds in a little something for
I
that.
just think it's great. The only thing is that because of that, and then the Saturday game, the NFL Sunday slate this week was terrible, and there were only like 2 afternoon games. That's the only downside is that it waters down my Sunday experience. But it's always great to when you have nothing else to do and you're sitting around. The fact that the NFL is there for you,
we had Saturday games.
it's wonderful. Yeah, we had Saturday games.
Yeah.
You forget that at the end of the year we always have Saturday games.
One other catch-up cannoli note, and I've got way more in the notes here. These are all just things I jotted down during the break, and I was sick for most of it, so I watched literally everything. I watched all the bowl games, and one of the first bowl notes I wrote down, did you guys happen to watch Tulane, Florida at all?
No, I did not. I saw Florida roll.
No.
Florida rolled them.
But
It was
a
not
bunch of
worth
the Tulane people were all in the portal.
It was not worth a watch. However, if you did watch it, you saw Ty Thompson.
Oh, I saw his numbers.
Dude, you didn't watch him?
No. Was it worse than the numbers
He
looked?
might be the worst quarterback I have ever seen.
Really?
And let me tell you something. I watched really bad. I've watched pretty much all of these bowl games. There is when you watch all of these teams, you really start to appreciate the Dylan Gabriels of the world.
Sure.
Because there are these teams are trying hard and they got these guys, there's some good players, some bad, and they're scheming up and they're decent teams. They're in bowl games. Obviously they had a winning season.
Yeah.
Or close to. So you're like, a team.
Yeah, Tulane was a good year, or it was a good team.
Yeah,
a lot
but
of
then
them were
you
in the
watch.
portal.
Well, their quarterback was
Yeah.
he transferred out, but so Thompson was certainly their backup.
Yeah.
But you watch even some of the starting quarterbacks. There's some really bad
Oh,
quarterback
100%.
play where you just left going, why am I even watching this? Dude, I am telling you, Ty Thompson was worse than any of them by a factor of 1 billion.
Ty Thompson, I pulled this up because I did not see any of this game.
Do you have his numbers there?
I do. Ty Thompson was 11 for 29. He threw for 125 yards.
That's better than I thought.
He did have a touchdown. He also threw 3 picks.
He was
including one on the first pass of the game.
That is a robust quarterback rating of 10.4.
Well, and the other thing that never shows up in the stat sheet, although it kind of does when you look at those numbers, is when you watch quarterbacks who really cannot process what's happening on the other side of the ball.
It's bad.
That's what makes it worse. It's like we're seeing things so clearly because we're just, watching on TV and we see stuff that even they don't see.
Yeah.
We take it for granted when we're watching a quarterback that knows what the hell he's doing. Yeah. When you see one that doesn't, it is so glaringly bad.
Yeah, it's alarming.
He just shouldn't have been out there. Like seriously, he is not a quarterback. Like he can't.
And at one point, I believe he was a 5-star recruit.
Yes.
I think he was 4, but even so, Oregon
Yes.
fans were over the moon to get
I
him.
thought he was a 5-star kid.
I thought he was too.
He was.
Dude, he
Maybe
was
it depends on the
borderline
service,
five.
but he was highly touted.
And by the way, I think he's in the portal again. Tulane doesn't even want him.
To play another sport or what?
I don't know. It's the damnedest thing.
There it is.
Dadgummit.
People cannot understand because even when you watch football, remember you're watching it from a high angle, let alone like the coaching film. and we're all used to
Excuse me.
seeing plays unravel, like, because you can
Yeah.
see the totality of it.
Yeah.
You have no idea what it's like to be in the midst of pure chaos and not be able to see, and guys coming at you. I'm just telling you, like, I know it's chintzy, like the XFL did this a while back, but having that helmet cam and what the quarterback sees would be a nice little revelation for like to do one of those VR simulations for everyone that thinks, what's that guy doing? I would love for someone to just put that on a VR helmet and see everything that goes on around you, and then realize what you have to process and the amount of time you have to do it. And when you're not prepared, you're right.
Dude, it's bad.
You're
And I gotta
doing
tell
a
you-
calculus final in Mandarin Chinese, and you don't speak the language.
I can define Ty Thompson's quarterback play in 3 words:
Yeah.
panicked, rattled, and possibly blind. Not even kidding. It was unbelievable. Couldn't believe it. So much so I had to put it in my notes.
I kind of want to go back now and watch some
You
Ty
should.
Thompson.
I wasn't able to watch any of it, but I'm in like a bowl pick'em pool where you're on every game or whatever, and I just from looking at the box score and Twitter could surmise it was one of the worst performances of the entire bowl season.
It was rough.
Without seeing a play, like everybody was saying the same things,
you
that
know
it was
It was
atrocious to the
I think that,
position of quarterback.
Yeah, I think that 10 quarterback rating is painful. Hey, there's room to get better. Who was the McCord from Ohio State? They ran his ass out of town, and he went to Syracuse and was great.
Watch Ty Thompson go to like Oregon State
Just
or Washington State.
tear it up.
All right. Well, more ketchup cannoli maybe tomorrow. Coming up next, it is time to learn about astroturfing on the Fan.
If football and chicken wings were made for each other, then the MVP of the
I've
I
said
was
it.
like, what's my password again?
I'll bet you I reset on average 3 passwords a week.
Really?
Yeah, happens all the time.
Do you have a password keeper?
I don't have a password
on your
keeper.
phone.
I probably should, but I'll just tell you right now that if I have to log into something and I haven't done it in 3 days, guaranteed I'm going to have to reset.
Well, now they have it where your phone can oftentimes store it
Yes.
for you, and
Oh.
it just fills it in for you.
Well, I'm glad that companies are starting to figure out that, for the love of God, like, it's me. Send me a text, whatever, make me confirm something.
The verify text.
Yeah, some of these policies. I had a buddy of mine that went down to Palm Springs over the holidays. He went and played some golf, and he left his credit card at the golf course. And this was a very nice golf course. Was it PGA West?
Golf.
PGA West. So he realized he leaves his his credit card there. And he figures this out when he's at the airport the next day. And so he's like, But he was staying at a guy, some friends were down there, and they were staying at someone's house. And so the guy is still down there. So he says, hey, can you go by? I know for certain that I left my credit card at the restaurant at PGA West. Would you go pick it up for me? And that guy was coming home like 3 days later. And he goes, you can just bring it to me. That way you don't have to deal with it in the mail. It's like, yeah. I said, I'll call the golf course. So he calls the golf course, and the golf course is insisting that cannot happen, that their policy is that credit card cannot be released to anyone other than him. And he goes, dude, I am not getting back on a plane and flying back down to get my credit card. He's like, what can I do? What can I do to prove that I am that credit card's holder, that the person who lives on your course is coming to get it? And he said he had to be on the phone for almost 3 hours back and forth, and ended up having to get like 2 levels up from the guy that he was talking to before they finally would allow him to release the credit card. And the guy just kept saying, well, that's our policy. And I understand it's a policy. You don't want anyone to get screwed over. But my God, sometimes we do the policy thing and it doesn't make sense.
Well, that one does, though, to me. I get why they have that policy. I guess the question would be, how would someone prove if they call and say, okay, this is my card, I want you to give it to this guy. So how do you then prove?
So he calls, he goes, dude, what would you like? He goes, I can give you all of my information. I can send you a photo of my driver's license. At one point he goes, by the way, you have caller ID, right? And he says, yes. And he goes, what does the caller ID say right now? And he looks down and he tells him his name. And he goes, what is the credit card? Like, he went through like 7 different things, and he's like, do you realize the amount of hoops that would have to be jumped through for this to be a fraudulent thing? All to steal a credit card, which, by the way, the moment someone stole it, the card would be canceled anyways. And so the fact the guy's like, nope, you're going to have to come back down here and get it. If your policy is the only way to release that credit card is to get back on an airplane and fly back down to Palm Springs, your policy is archaic and stupid.
You know what it is? You know what that is? Airtight. That's what that is.
It's just ridiculous.
Airtight policy.
Well, sometimes I get why you have policies in place, but to sit there and say that there's no way around it, and at one point he was like, look, I'm not getting on a plane, and I really don't want to go through the hassle of ordering a new card and canceling it and changing some automatic payments and stuff. So can we just skip to the end where we find a solution to this? Because there obviously is one. Well, so just tell me what it is you need from me in order to get it done.
The other thing that's a little puzzling there is, how would somebody who calls know who left their credit card?
Exactly.
Right? So
if
just, credit cards,
if
the name on the
dumbest
credit card is Joe Smith.
Yes.
How would perp guy, hey, I'm calling PGA West. Okay, you answer the phone. You're PGA West. I'm like, hey, did somebody by the name of Joe Smith leave their credit card?
He even went.
Oh my God, we do have Joe Smith's credit card.
He even went, because most people now on their phone have the credit card wallet, right?
Yeah.
We have all your code. He goes, look. He goes, I will read you the number of the credit card, the 3-digit code on the back. No. And so that was his other thing.
Enough.
That was his other thing is he goes, if I was trying to steal this credit card, I already have the credit card. I have the information. I just need the physical card back. Still wasn't good enough for him. And eventually, like I said, they jumped through it. But I've done that before where I'm like, look, can we just skip through all the rigmarole where you tell me there's nothing we can do?
Hey, we got to have safeguards.
Can't we just jump to the end of this and be like, what is a reasonable solution where I can have my friend come and pick up my card? Like, it shouldn't take 2+ hours for something like that to happen. It really shouldn't. All because of, quote, policy. Rigid policy with no room for, I don't know, for unforeseen circumstance. Like, those are dumb policies then. That's all that is. That's, like I said, that's stupid and it's archaic.
Well, I don't think it's a dumb policy, but I do think there should be, easier ways to get your card back. But if I left my credit card at PJ West, I would not want them just to give it to someone.
Well, and look, there's a difference between, hey, I left my credit card, give it to the most random person.
No, I know. I'm saying there should just be easier way. They haven't thought through the policy is good. They have not thought through that exact scenario well enough to say, okay, here's what we do when this occurs. Yeah. Here's what I need from you.
That's all.
Provide that, and then we're good.
There shouldn't be that hard. It's like when you forget your this goes back to when you forget your password, you just have to prove that it's you, and it usually takes a text message or an email to a recovery account, and that's it. And then they're like, okay, no reasonable person would be trying to defraud this at this point, so here's your new password, and you move on with life.
Don't mind the verify text on your phone.
No.
Because it usually comes right away and it just autofills.
That's great.
I hate we have sent a verification code to your email.
It may never come.
Yes.
Check the spam. Yeah.
You wait 10 minutes and you forget about it. It's like, wait, that never came.
Yep.
But then you reset it, and then the first one does come, and you put that number in.
Doesn't work.
And you're like, that's not the right number because you reset it.
You're so on board. In this day and age, the only correct one is the verification text. 100%.
By the way, this Niners-Lions game is great.
Yes, it is. And the weirdest part is, indeed, the Lions are playing everybody.
They're not messing
and they're
around.
playing hard.
And Ben Johnson is all fired up on the side. They just ran a hook and ladder for a touchdown.
And it worked, yeah. But yeah, they're
But
out
the
there.
Niners are winning 21-13.
What So
they haven't quit either.
What exactly is
He's got to pull him at half, don't you think?
Has to. He has to.
He's got to be real careful here.
His whole season is on the line next week. And if someone gets hurt, and by the way, every time the Lions play, someone gets hurt. It makes no sense. I love Dan Campbell, but this makes no sense.
All right, let's talk astroturfing. This is a thing, and we'll do that next on The Fan.
Seahawks football is on The Fan.
you don't have to debate them anymore. We're bringing everything we got to this game, and we are playing, and I don't care what it looks like and where it's at or who's this, who's that. We're going out to play and win this game out on the West Coast. So there you go.
That would have been weird if they showed up to the East Coast.
It would be. I just don't get it.
Yeah, I get it in a sense that this is just his. This is kind of his way of helping keep everyone together. They've had a lot of injuries, and he's like, "Hey, this is what we do. This is how we do it."
If you've had,
but it's also pretty reckless.
Yeah, if you've had a lot of injuries, wouldn't it make sense to give your guys a week's rest and not get anyone else injured? Maybe.
Anyway, do you know what astroturfing is?
I do not know. I have not heard this. Someone said it sounds like the new BYU sexual practice. It's the new soaking.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah. Hey, soaking's kind of old school. We're into astroturfing now.
Well, apparently it is the practice of publishing opinions or comments on the internet or in the media that appear to come from ordinary people, but actually come from companies or political groups.
Okay, so
that's
yeah,
astroturfing.
That makes sense. I saw that someone had it where, like, the vast amounts of, like, whether it's they're eating the pets or any sort of weird misinformation story that gets picked
in
up.
Springfield, they're eating the dogs.
It's a tiny amount of
They're eating
people
the
that are
cats.
actually spreading this crap, but
they're eating
or
the
bots.
pets
Yeah, or bots,
of
but
the
it spreads like
people that
wildfire.
live there.
Well, this is going on.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
They're eating the pets
This song
of the
slaps.
people that live there.
This is going on with Blake Lively. I don't know
Okay.
if you've seen what's going on with her.
No, I do not know what's happening with Blake
All right,
Lively.
so she's in a show called It Ends With Us.
Yes.
Could be a movie, I don't know.
I believe it is a movie.
Okay. Well, on the press tour that she and her co-star, who is also the director, Justin Baldoni, they went on the press tour, and what ended up making headlines from the press tour was that Lively was only trying to promote her own products.
Oh, so
Justin,
she wasn't trying to promote the movie. She wanted to promote just things that she was selling.
well, yeah, okay, so this is confusing, and this is I got into this with my kids because they follow this stuff. We
Sure.
were talking about it over the holidays.
Yeah.
What's going on? She's like, oh, what's going? My soon-to-be daughter-in-law is like,
This is a big deal.
Yeah, do you see what's going on with Blake Lively? What do you think about that? I'm like, well, no, fill me in. So apparently, Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni went on this tour, and Baldoni is accusing Lively of just self-promoting her own products.
Sure.
When they were trying to promote his movie. He's the director.
Yes.
But also in it.
Yeah.
But what Lively has now sued him.
I thought that was for like sexual harassment.
Well, it
though.
is because this is astroturfing.
Okay.
What has happened is Baldoni has properly astroturfed her through social media channels by basically getting a social media in a buzz about, oh, Lively is just out promoting her perfume or whatever the hell it is. I don't know. He astroturfed her. That was really coming from him because he knew that he sexually harassed her. And she is now suing him saying, wait a minute, in the court of public opinion, I'm being raked over the coals for this, when the reality is he harassed me and abused me, and he is concealing his abuse by spinning this on me by astroturfing me.
Can I say, well played. That seems like a devilishly smart thing to do.
Well, it is pretty smart. It is a thing.
Because I knew that she was suing a co-star. I didn't realize that this was, but I did see that she was suing a co-star for sexual harassment. And that's all I'd really heard about it. But it does seem kind of devilishly clever on that guy's part to get ahead of it and do a nice little smear campaign.
Well, yeah, that's what it is. It's a smear campaign, and she's suing him over it.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's getting nasty.
So that's what astroturfing is. So, like, if I know that I've done something wrong and I know the other person's going to come forward, like Lance Armstrong, right? That like anytime Lance Armstrong had someone that was going to come forward with the steroid accusation, he would then get the public to and like the media to go and smear that person.
Yeah.
I kind of like it.
It kind of makes you terrified of how easy it is to be manipulated because, you look at this stuff about Blake Lively, and it's like, what's going on with Blake Lively? And, of course, people generally just read headline and then they just go about their day, right? They don't really look too deep into it. So she was pretty much smeared through this campaign of this bro.
Is it possible that she's astroturfing him? It's tough to tell nowadays.
Oh.
You know,
but a
maybe-
lawsuit isn't really astroturfing.
No,
That
it's
seems to be
actually-
putting your
it
money
actually
where your
seems
mouth is.
Seems like a real thing. Damn it.
Yeah, I don't know. She's always seemed kind of insufferable to me, and I know she's with Ryan Reynolds, and I want to like them because I
Yeah.
like Ryan Reynolds.
And she's
but I
hot.
feel like she's super hot.
Yeah.
But I feel like she's maybe not all that fun and cool.
I don't know.
And down to earth. Like who's the?
Doesn't give her the right to be harassed by this son of a
I-
astroturfing son of a bitch.
No, I get it. Who's the couple? They're in all the ads. Hold.
Jason and Kylie Kelsey.
No. Although she's a smoke show too.
Well, they all are.
Kristen Bell and
Dax Shepard.
Yeah,
they seem delightful.
Yeah, they do.
Krasinski and Emily Blunt also
Yes.
seem
They're
delightful.
great. They're down to earth. They're
Yes.
fun. I feel like Lively. I want Lively and Ryan Reynolds to be that.
You could even say the other half of the Wrexham marriage, that McElhenney and Caitlin Olsen
Yes,
seem delightful.
again,
Definitely.
seem delightful.
Although, am I the only one that thinks Rob McElhenney, when he's not on Always Sunny, is kind of a jerk? Isn't he kind of? He's like.
Is he?
He was on. Yes, he's kind of a. He was on.
I haven't seen him in a lot of other things.
Well, he was on
Go Birds.
Game Day. They brought him
Yeah.
out on Game Day
Yeah.
for the field goal thing.
Yeah. Was it a bit much?
He just. That was the Kristen. I think it was the one in Oregon.
Yeah. Well, she was the.
Yeah,
she was the
Caitlin
picker.
Olsen was the guest picker.
Or Caitlin Olsen,
Yeah.
not Kristen. But he kind of seems like a bit of an ass and kind of too. He's very serious.
Huh.
Like he's not.
He's not goofy because she
Yeah.
seems delightful.
She's wonderful.
Interesting.
I don't know.
The only thing I've ever seen him, it's Always Sunny and then the Wrexham stuff, and he does come off very likable. Those I didn't see him on the Game Day stuff. The Game Day thing. Did you see?
I could be wrong.
You want to talk about? You love Booth Tenson. Did you see Shane Gillis and Nick Saban?
I have that audio if you'd like.
No,
Oh
I didn't.
my gosh! Nick Saban wants to murder Shane Gillis.
In two different parts.
Yes.
Because it started with him, Gillis, basically accusing Saban of cheating.
Yeah, they
And
were
Saban was complaining about like, paying all the players and stuff.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, because that never happened in Alabama before all this came out.
and then Saban gets real uppity about it.
So Gillis tries to apologize, but only does it by calling him Alabama Jones because he was wearing an Indiana Jones
Nick
hat.
Saban's wearing a fedora and he called him Alabama Jones.
Oh, no.
It was the best moment on Game Day in years.
What is Gillis doing on there? I know I've seen him.
He's a Notre Dame guy.
Oh, it was the Notre Dame game.
It was the
Okay.
Notre Dame game, so he was just there. It was at Notre Dame, and Gillis obviously was promoting Tires Season 2, and he's a really big deal right
Have
now.
you watched that show at all?
Tires?
Yeah.
I love Shane Gillis. I didn't really like Tires.
I thought it was funny, but I'm with you. I turned it off. It's funny,
it
but
didn't work
it's
for
just
me.
not for me. I don't know about Shane Gillis.
Yeah. See, I think his stand-up is amazing, and he's got some. He had an online sketch show. What is the?
I haven't seen it, but people say that's really good.
Dude, it's some of the funniest. It's better than anything SNL's done in years. I forget. It's Gillis and I forget who him and his partner do it, but it's one of the guys from Tires. I really think Shane Gillis is super freaking funny. Even the Bud Light commercials that are in are really good. The Tires one just missed the mark for me. And he's very bro-y, and I can see for you that's like Will Ortner thinks that Shane Gillis is the greatest thing known to man. And for an older person like us, that can be a bit much.
Yeah.
But when he called Saban Alabama Jones.
Do you want it? It's only 15
yeah,
seconds.
No, I
and
wanna hear it.
Saban wanted to murder him right
So
then and there.
here's the first part.
I don't know. This is, it's always with Notre Dame. It's like, here's the big game. Let's hopefully win it. This feels different. Feels like we can win it.
Okay.
There's some parity now that, now that everybody can pay their players. Notre Dame has a shot. It's not just the SEC. It's not Coach Saban.
So Saban just was like crickets on him, and then this happened like in
then-
multiple segments later.
Saban went into like great detail about why he was successful and about developing players and not paying them. And Gillis was like, dude, lighten up. It's like, it's a
Yeah,
joke.
so here's the apology followed by Saban not being able to take a joke.
You called him a cheater earlier. I was just joking around. I don't think the SEC paid players ever.
Period.
I'm joking. Are we not? Is this not a fun show?
No, fun.
Serious show?
Serious football.
Like Alabama Jones is very serious.
I'm not serious.
Get the whip, Indy.
What did he say?
I do believe in integrity.
Get the whip.
Yeah,
I always
yeah.
tried to run the program that way so players had a better chance to be successful in life.
I agree.
We make more money in the NFL than any other school, 61 players in the league.
Yeah.
That was how we cheated. We developed players.
Yeah, we recruited. And we threw. I'm so sorry.
Gillis is like,
It's like, dude, I was just
I didn't mean to step in.
I love it. Was this not a fun show? Alabama.
Well, Saban is usually pretty fun on there.
He did not like it.
I
But
think
he
that
didn't like
really
that.
got under his skin.
Yeah, he even addressed it like he was doing an interview and someone asked him about it, and Saban was like, well, he goes, I didn't like it, but he's like, I think he said his daughter's a big fan, so he's like, I guess I have to like learn to lighten up a little bit. Even Saban afterwards was like, yeah, I was pissed, but
Well, okay, first of all, the fact that he's pissed means there's some truth to it.
Absolutely.
Getting all defensive about
Yeah.
it. But I don't know. That's the first time he's heard that? Like,
No,
it's
it's
almost
just-
like he was
I think the
unprepared for that. Like, people joke about that all the time.
The problem is that when you're on, when Nick Saban is in that world, dude, everyone kisses the ring and kisses his ass.
And McAfee and Herb Street,
Yes.
they're not going to do that.
No,
and most
and-
guests aren't going to do that.
Yeah, exactly. So you got
So
the
he's not
one-
expecting it.
and that's why I like Shane Gillis. He's that guy that doesn't give two F's and goes in there and it's, he's making fun of Notre Dame and and takes a shot at Saban, and everyone on set, just everyone's face was like, oh my God, I can't believe he just went there. It was great. But Saban getting made fun of, like, the great story is when Saban was at Miami, like he just does not take to jokes and disrespect. And I guess the Miami Dolphin players would make fun of him all the time, and Saban could not hack it.
They called him Little Nicky, right?
Little Nicky. Zach Thomas would call him Little Nicky and make fun of him at practice. Dante Culpepper threatened to beat him up, and Saban couldn't handle it, and he ran back to college football, where went on to be great. But that is a guy that he cannot. I'm sure he's a fun guy, but he cannot joke about certain things. One of those apparently being him and his program.
Well, I don't know that he's a fun guy. that new ad where he's
the Verbo.
Yeah,
That's
I
good.
thought that's pretty good.
Yeah.
See, he can. He has a sense of humor.
Not about certain things.
Well, anyway, that's astroturfing. I don't know. Just be aware of what you're reading out there and where what the source is.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of think astroturfing seems like a clever strategy.
Well, I think it happens all the time in politics.
Yeah. Hey, just plant some stories. If you know someone's going to come out and attack you, the best way to do it is get in front of that's like when people call Adam Schefter, and be like, hey, I need you to release this story because my client's about to get accused. What was that? Dalvin Cook was going to get accused of like beating his girlfriend. And so they're like, I'm going to need you to leak this story out right here. And you bash the other person.
People are ruthless, man.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to astroturf you.
Please don't.
But again, that just sounds uncomfortable. I feel like if I texted, I'm going to try this. I'm going to text my gal right now and be like, hey, honey, tonight you're getting astroturfed. What do you think the response to that is?
Probably not good.
That sound like some sort of deviant thing?
Yeah, it feels like you're forced into getting rug burns in uncomfortable ways.
Right,
That's where I went.
Yeah,
I went with rug burns.
Yeah. I feel like it's not a positive sort of thing.
What if she says finally?
It's about time. I've been waiting for that.
What have I been missing?
Been waiting for that astroturf.
All right. What's coming up next, you ask?
No one knows.
No one does know. Find out next. Here's Buck.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
Brian Buckley with this SportsCenter update. First on the Fan, Week 17 in the NFL, wrapping up tonight with the Lions visiting the 49ers in the Bay Area. San Francisco currently with a 21-13 lead, about 28 seconds before halftime of that one. Brock Purdy's got a rushing touchdown and 2 passing touchdowns, one to Ricky Pearsall, the other to Kyle Juszczyk. The Lions, despite not needing this game, playing all their starters tonight. Only one college bowl game today in Nashville as Iowa took on 19th-ranked Missouri in the Music City Bowl. Missouri coming back from a 10-point deficit in the second half to win 27-24. The Blazers are looking for their 3rd straight win of the homestand when they host Philadelphia tonight. Matisse Thybulle out for Portland, so is Jeremy Grant, though Tumani Kamara will return from injury. Joel Embiid, Kyle Lowry, Eric Gordon and Andre Drummond are all game-time decisions for Philly. That one tipping at 7 o'clock. The Sixers favored by 6.5. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Ryan Buckley, the 1080 The Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
It's The Fan on FM. Go to 99.5 FM HD2 and enjoy high def 1080 The Fan.
All right, I just saw Will Ortner. You know what that means? One thing.
Shane Gillis is being watched somewhere.
Pilots basketball.
Portland Pilots hoops.
Catch the fever.
Over on 910, they're playing Oregon State tonight. This is Jason Swigard's Super Bowl, isn't it? Short of them going to the NCAA tournament?
Yes, probably. Well, no, when they played Oregon and almost won. That was his,
yeah, I guess that was
his Super Bowl.
You're right. They did almost beat Oregon, didn't they?
Here's the situation.
Yeah. The best part is that may be the highlight of their season is almost beating Oregon.
It's over.
If you would have listened, because we were, I think it might have been Dirt and Sprague were playing some of the clips after the game. That was like Swag was like, the Pilots with a near win or for shame, Oregon. He was. That's probably the best thing to happen to Pilots basketball in years. A near win over Oregon?
Did they go to the tournament?
No, the women went to the tournament.
Was it the women?
And Swag called that. That's where we got the WCC call of...
Hold on, everybody. Here's the situation. It's over. We think.
So the Portland men's team has never been to the tournament?
I don't know about never, but not when he's been doing that.
I wouldn't think so. They're 5-9.
No, they did 1995.
95?
Yeah, they lost in the first
Pre-Swigard.
round under the great Rob Chavez.
If they ever went to the season, went to the tournament, would Swag at that point, would that be him dying looking for Bigfoot? He could just keel over and die. And
I think it'd go to his head. I think honestly he'd parlay it into some big shooting Division I gig at, I don't know, like
We lose Swag to Learfield.
yeah, yeah, exactly, or like Michigan State or something. Whoever they play in the first round,
Yeah. Steal Jason Swigard.
steals Jason Swigard.
Hey, it's got to start somewhere, man. Swag's like what, like 50 something? He's just waiting for that big break.
We think.
We do think. And he's the voice of the Pilots. I mean, that guy.
Yeah, so that game's over on 9:10.
Guy's working everywhere. And when they played Oregon, the best part is you could listen to the Duck Call on 1080 and flip over to 910 and get Jason Swigard.
Now I saw Ortner, so that means that well, he's doing Pilots, so he's not on there. But it reminded me that the round table's coming up in 20 minutes. Yes. So if you're looking for some Oregon content,
there'll be one short.
That's right, and we'll be checking in with Dusty Hara live from the Rose Bowl.
Nice.
Yeah, Dusty's like our liaison now.
Yeah.
He flies down with the team.
He's a duck guy. Where are they staying? Do we know
We'll
that?
find out from Dusty Hara. I mean, you could probably find out online or something, but I don't know.
Where were we when we were down there? They put us down in the.
Were you with the team or somewhere else?
No,
in a media hotel?
no, we weren't with the team.
We were in the media hotel.
They put the media in some.
Yeah,
I mean, it's usually pretty nice digs.
Yeah,
But
having the media there with the players would be terrible.
they don't want that.
No, that'd be a terrible, terrible idea. I don't remember. But yeah, it was a nice place. I mean, I like all the BCS
Isn't it in
games.
Hollywood, right down there in Hollywood.
Yeah, it was somewhere down there. Yeah, it was a nice place. They do a good job. Of all the bowl games that we've been to, the Rose Bowl, they take good care of it.
Who's the other comedian I'm thinking of? So Shane Gillis. I was watching some stand-up.
Nate Bargatze has a new
yeah,
special.
Bargatze.
Yeah, he's got a new one.
What do we think of that guy?
He's good.
pretty good.
He's solid.
He's real clean, right? He doesn't.
I
ever...
think that's the remarkable part about him is that he has such mass appeal. I mean, it helps to have the mass appeal, but he does not utter a single swear word.
Yeah.
He does not wade into a shred of politics. Like, he is so down the middle, and yet he's still pretty damn funny.
Yeah, I enjoy him.
He's good. He was on Saturday Night Live. It was hilarious. Did you see that bit on football?
The football one was good. The George Washington bit that he did was good. Yeah, he's I was a little slow to warm to him because I usually like my comedy a little.
You like it dirty.
He's not very edgy.
Yeah.
No, he's not at all. But he's funny.
I like a little edge, like a little blue to my comedy, but he does good. He does a good job. And yeah, he has the new Netflix special.
Did you catch the Jamie Foxx special yet?
Turned it off.
Really?
I made it about 20 minutes in, and I couldn't do it.
Oh wow. Okay, and I can totally understand why.
It wasn't. It just.
It ends up being pretty good.
Does it?
Yeah, it's kind of a mess because he's telling the story of his illness,
his aneurysm,
and it's sad,
Yeah.
especially initially. He's very it's a downer.
Yeah,
and he's not funny, but he
brings it back.
He mixes in. I liked it because it's a mix of everything. He is a super talented dude. Like he could be the most talented guy on the planet.
100%, dude. There are legendary stories about Jamie Foxx. Like that dude sings, dance, act, comedy, you name it. In fact, Mike Barrett has a great story about he delivered a custom golf cart to Jamie Foxx's home. And he's got a great story about Fox ended up entertaining everyone after being like 2 hours late, by the way.
It wasn't 2 hours.
It was like
it was longer than
the whole thing. But once they got there, like Fox spent all night just like playing the piano, singing songs, telling jokes, and
well, his bit it's a little all over the place because you can tell he didn't really. It's not tight.
Yeah.
It's just him kind of meandering a little bit.
Yeah, it didn't work for me.
But it ends up being pretty good. He brings out his daughter and they sing, and it's a very emotional moment.
Yeah.
But then he also does impressions, and he mixes in jokes, and he's naturally pretty funny. And then at the end, he sings and plays music with the people.
Huh.
So it's a wild one. I can totally understand why someone turned it off because I had the same kind of feeling initially. But getting all the way through it, I ended up going, you know what, that dude. He nailed it.
I saw it over the holidays. I flicked it on, big Jamie Foxx guy, and after about 20 minutes, I just couldn't do it.
Well, he's got a lot of God in there.
Yeah.
And I know you love that.
I struggle with it. Well, I'm fascinated by the idea.
I mean, he is a man of God.
He is a man of God, and that's great. You know, that guy went through a lot. And when you go through stuff, I get it. Well, although he was a man of God before, but I will
Being
never,
a man of increase?
I will never understand the God and your prayers saved me, but did God also give you the aneurysm as well? And then was it one of those things where if you didn't pray enough, then you die from the aneurysm?
Yeah,
But
he put you in that spot in the first place, right?
But if you pray enough, then you get to live from the aneurysm. And if more people pray for you, then you also get to live. But I die then if enough people don't. Like that, you lose me on that. And it's a lot. And it wasn't, I thought it was going to be funny. And
It is. You needed to stick with it. It was not, at first, and like you said, for 20 minutes, he does just talk about the illness, and it's very sad and stoic. And it's like, is this all it is? Is it just going to be him describing what happened? But he
goes on.
Yeah, he livens it up.
Because like John Mulaney, in his latest special, John Mulaney tells the story about him going to rehab, which
His
is
whole intervention and everything.
Yeah, the intervention,
It's funny.
which again is a very serious thing, and he had a massive coke and pill problem, and he starts.
How's he doing now?
He's doing all kinds of stuff. But his stand-up his last stand-up special, Baby, I think it was Baby J, dealt exclusively with that. And he starts right at the beginning into it, like, this is my coke problem. This was the day that everything changed for me. My intervention. He talks about going to his drug dealers. I mean, it's some bad and not flattering stuff.
Showing up late to his intervention because he was getting a free haircut from the SNL hair and makeup people.
Yeah, like doing way too much blow and insinuates, ladies or like. He basically says like I'm an absolute mess. But it was hilarious, and the Fox one was just, I don't know. I didn't think it was funny. Although I will say that I couldn't look away. He was wearing a leather outfit, and I am fascinated. Like stand-up comedians love, maybe it's the Eddie Murphy thing. When Eddie Murphy did Raw, he wore the leather outfits in Delirious. Kevin Hart does this a lot. He was wearing leather pants and a leather T-shirt, and matching, and I couldn't look away.
And weren't they like beige?
They were like beige.
Tan, yeah.
I couldn't look away from it, and I thought to myself, how much do you think that leather shirt costs? Also, how hot must that leather T-shirt be? I was struggling to get around that as well. But maybe I just need to fast forward like 35 minutes into it and then watch.
The whole thing is kind of, like I said, it's wonky, but he gives you a little bit of everything.
Okay.
Including impressions.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
I just would like to say to whatever higher power up there is watching over me, instead of like, can you just not give me the heart attack? Instead of like, it's like when I have like the massive car wreck and then like there's a miracle that I get saved from the car wreck. Can we just not have the car wreck?
What's going on?
Like if you have the power to decide whether or not I live or die from the car wreck, just don't give me the car wreck. It seems like that's just a way easier way.
Well, you know what they say, Jay? The Lord works in mysterious ways. That's code for we can't explain anything.
Yeah, I get confused.
Doesn't make sense, really.
I get confused sometimes when that happens.
But hey, faith, man.
Faith. The scary
Wow.
stuff, though. I mean, because I will say that when he was telling the story, it had me for a little bit because I was like, oh my God, this is intense.
It is intense. And he doesn't remember. He says he doesn't remember like 2 weeks of it.
Yeah, like he remembers like man, I need to go to the doctor, and then he blacked out, and then he woke up.
But he wasn't. But it's confusing because he didn't really explain it that well.
No.
Because he said he blacked out, but it's not like he was in a coma. He was up doing things and rehabbing. He just doesn't remember any of it, which is really wild.
Yeah.
At any rate,
It's a strange thing.
Jamie Foxx still with us.
Yes, and that is a good thing because that man
he's a treasure.
Is truly one of the most talented individuals that you will ever come across.
By the way, someone on the fan text line says that Shane Gillis went to West Point to play football as an O lineman and lasted a week.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, he was a football player from like Central Pennsylvania, wanted to go to Notre Dame, wasn't good enough, and he had some smaller offers to go play.
Rudy? Is that you?
He had some offers to go play at some colleges, and somehow his parents convinced him to go to like West Point. He thought it was all noble. Yeah, he quit after a week.
That tracks.
Yeah, and he's on it. Like he tells the story, and it's funny. He's like, yeah, it turns out I'm not West Point material.
Well, people were talking about that running back from Army who is transferring from West Point to ASU, and that being the most drastic shift in environment that you could possibly imagine.
That's where he went?
Yeah.
That would be the
Kanye
most-
Udo from Army to Arizona State.
Oh my God.
Wow.
That poor bad. Like he's either in for
I
the,
think-
the greatest shift of all time, or his mind's just going to be blown. He won't be able to process it.
Wouldn't a worse transition, or I mean, more extreme transition,
other
be
way?
BYU to Arizona State?
Oh,
perhaps.
maybe.
I think.
Although you're probably more, you're definitely more disciplined.
You're more
at
disciplined.
West Point.
Yeah.
But you can do you can do it at West Point, can't you?
I thought you were just going to say transferring from ASU to West Point. 'cause
Well,
that
that-
would be
No one-
rough too.
Well, no one can.
You can't.
That's
do
right.
that.
Yeah, because you have to be admitted initially.
Can you
yeah.
do it? Like you're at West Point, you can do it, right? Like you have off time where you can see the co-eds.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, so that right there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Look at us. BYU out there getting it done. And we had a good year, which I don't want to hear from anyone else to say that you can't win because of like this situation or that situation. We have to recruit kids and tell them that they can't drink and or have sex.
that's true.
And we
Put
want
you
to
behind the 8 ball.
And we won 11 games.
You guys
I am
look
here
good.
to tell you that you can drink and have sex
Hey.
there. You just have to not talk about it.
We didn't get to it today because
No, got
we just
things.
had more things, and we probably won't get to it tomorrow. We're not here Wednesday, and we probably won't get to it Thursday or Friday. So it's probably gonna, just poof into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
So let's just take a moment right now to mention
Yeah.
how great it was that you guys kicked the crap out of Dion and Shador and Travis Hunter.
It's pretty good.
That was awesome.
It's pretty good.
And it was a complete butt whooping.
It was, and ESPN hated it.
Yes.
ESPN spent the entire game
Yes.
trying to find a reason to
ESPN spent
bloviate.
2 years propping those guys up, and now
Yeah.
they're all done.
Dude, it was 27-0, and Hunter scored like that 30-yard touchdown, and they acted like he just cured cancer. We're like, hey, cool, you're
Won
still,
the Heisman all over again.
you're still down by 3 touchdowns, jackasses.
Yeah, I thought that was great.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Felt good.
My team wasn't in a bowl, even though we beat you.
Yeah.
And
Kept us out of the college football playoff. Thanks.
yeah, I guess we did.
Yeah, you did.
I mean, you have yourselves to blame for that, but
You can't be expected to deal with Kansas. Come on.
I thought it was great. I was rooting with you, and I thought it was kind of funny that Prime and especially Shador fell flat on their face in their final
I enjoyed it.
college game because he was crying. You see the pregame? He's crying.
Oh, yeah.
He's on the sidelines like, oh,
Did you see when Shador
my quarterback.
was like inside the 5 and took him out of field goal range with a sack? That was really impressive.
Yeah, dude, lost like 30-something yards.
Yeah.
In
Couldn't handle
hindsight,
BYU, and they're all whites.
hey, BYU was fired up for that game.
Hell yeah.
In hindsight, though, was it not kind of predictable that with so much going on with Travis and Shador and Dion and everything that they maybe weren't ready for that game or weren't focused, didn't even care about the game?
Well, Dion was trying to put on the air that he did. Like, he was giving a big speech about no weed and all that.
I
but-
thought that was hilarious that he was like,
No weed.
they like put out on social media him addressing the team like, and if you take one puff in that hotel, that'll be the last puff you take.
Yeah, he said, if I smell
And it was like,
that's the last one. Yeah,
like
he was-
every other coach hasn't said don't smoke weed in the hotel. Like, you're not special for
And
saying
isn't that just telling your kids, oh, yeah, I should
go smoke it.
should light up?
Yeah, out of the hotel.
Just go do it in the parking lot.
Just take edibles. It's easier that way.
Well, congratulations, BYU.
Felt good. Felt good.
Good little season.
Felt good.
Good little season.
Pretty good.
We wrap it up next on The Fan.
The home of Dirt and Spray.
Should the NFL be looking in a 14-team playoff field to say, hey, maybe X team shouldn't be hosting and Y team should, when we just look at the win-loss difference here? Yeah, we absolutely should. And it's ridiculous Like that Minnesota- we haven't done that. Yeah, Minnesota-Detroit not having a home playoff game.
We all know those are maybe the two best teams in the NFC.
Dirt and Spray. Weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. on 1080 The Fan.
It's football time at BetMGM. Use code KOSTOS, K-O-S-T-O-S, and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. When you register with BetMGM, you'll get instant access to a variety of parlay selection features, live betting options, original bets, and the best daily promotions in the business. Use code KOSTOS, K-O-S-T-O-S, and get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 years of age or older. New customer offer. This U.S. promotional offer not available in Mississippi, New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. For New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. For Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. For Massachusetts, call 1-800-327-5050. For Iowa, call 1-800-BETS-OFF. For Puerto Rico, call 1-800-981-0023. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are not
And both teams are playing it like it's the freaking Super Bowl, and it's a great game.
Maybe there's a lesson in that, Jace.
Right till St. Brown rolls his ankle and can't play against the Vikings.
Maybe there's a lesson in that, Cam Ward.
I love that narrative. Boy, NFL teams are gonna grill him over that one. Yeah, because that's what the NFL cares about. You playing in the second half of the Pop-Tart Bowl.
Yeah, the Giants didn't draft him because he's selfish.
That's right.
The Giants aren't drafting anyone. They won and are now went from the number one.
Well, they've
pick
gone
to
from
like
1 to 4, so that's why I thought they'd get Cam and Shedeur.
Wasn't that the most Giants thing ever?
The most Giants thing
Yep,
ever.
sure was.
The only team that would maybe also do that is the Jets.
Yeah.
The Mariners did that as well.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah, they won that last game.
Against the A's. Instead of getting Strasburg, they got Dustin Ackles.
And maybe the Blazers, who have continued to win when they should be losing.
Yeah, they winning again. Oh, they haven't.
They're 11-20.
Who's playing tonight?
No one knows. Like every 76er
Kamara
is
playing.
Who is?
Tumani Kamara is playing. Jeremy Grant with a facial contusion is not. Neither is.
But what about Philly?
Oh, for Philly?
If they play all their guys, Blazers will lose.
Yeah, I mean, Philly was favored by 6.5 or 7.
Is Chance back yet? Or is he
he's
still?
back.
He's back.
Although, did you
They
see in
said
an email from Jeff Baton Rouge that now after the Mike Brown firing in Sacramento over the weekend, Chance, the next or the most likely coach to be fired next, according to odds.
It doesn't matter because according to Blazer fans, the assistant coach that led them to the big win over the Utah Jazz, we'll just give it to him and he'll be the greatest coach of all time.
See, on the NBA coach or it's any sport where they have the next coach fired odds. Yeah. They always have the coaches of the worst teams, and those are never the best bets. It's always the team that has that's either a good team that is underperforming that panics. They push the button before the worst team
no
because the
reason-
worst team knows that
they
they're
don't
bad.
care.
They don't care. They'll just wait.
Yeah.
It's like Milwaukee. Like who the hell had Adrian Griffin last year being the first coach fired?
Exactly.
And he was the first coach fired.
Yeah. The Red Wings in hockey just fired their coach because they were supposed to be a playoff team this year. Well, it turns out they suck eggs, and so they canned their guy. He was the first one fired. You're right. You got to find the team that was supposed to be good and that's having an underachieving year. It's never just the worst team. Yeah, the Utah Jazz aren't firing their coach.
Who is the Utah Jazz coach?
Good question.
Let's play the new fun game.
Don't they have the worst? Is the Jazz the worst?
No,
Is it-
no.
Someone in the
No,
East?
God. No, the Jazz have picked it up a little bit.
The Wizards are by far
they
the
still
worst.
suck, but yeah, the Wizards. Who's the Wizards coach?
Great question.
Not a.
How many teams can I name before any of us can name their coach?
The NBA right now is so irrelevant to me. Wake